Chapter 693. He ordered a total of 10 blow-up dolls. Every one of them was different. In order to avoid clashing with the appearance of real people, Wang Zhong had chosen to use ordinary-looking inflatable dolls. This was his first time planting blow-up dolls. Wang Zhong did not know what they would look like, so he decided to give it a try. Of course, at first, he wanted to plant dead people, just like Ma Dongmin. But then, he thought that if he planted people, they would have memories of their lives. It would be troublesome if some of them missed their loved ones. So, after thinking about it, Wang Zhong decided to plant blow-up dolls first. The delivery was fast. 3 days later, the 10 blow-up dolls arrived. The packaging was very tight. It was impossible to tell what was inside just by looking at the surface. "Brother Chen, what did you buy? Why are they packed so well?" Ma Dongmin was surprised to see the 10 neatly sealed bags. "Let's talk about it later." The two of them carried the bags into the backyard. When they opened it, Ma Dongmin was stunned. 10 blow-up dolls. If Ma Dongmin could blush now, she would have blushed. "Brother Chen, your needs are so strong?" Actually, she wanted to say that if he really wanted, she could do it for him. Wang Zhong's face darkened. "What needs are you talking about? Don't talk nonsense. I'm planning to plant more people." "Why?" Ma Dongmin was puzzled. "Because I need help," Wang Zhong explained. "Have you noticed that the sales of our fruits have been getting better and better? Basically, as soon as we sell our fruits, people will come over. It's very likely that these people will be stationed near us for a long time, keeping an eye on us." "Someone wants to deal with us?" Ma Dongmin, who had been deceived, was very sensitive. She became nervous. "They won't go so far as to deal with us, but it's very likely that they're trying to figure out our background. Before that, we need to be able to protect ourselves." After Wang Zhong's analysis, Ma Dongmin agreed. "Okay, let's plant these silicone dolls. But, will it work?" Ma Dongmin felt that it was a little unreliable. Wang Zhong wasn't confident, but based on his previous experience, he knew that he would reap what he sowed. Basically, everything he planted would be strengthened. Therefore, if he planted the silicone doll, it might turn into a real person. Silicone doll? Probably. Then, he planted one first. Happy water, happy fertilizer, and nitrogen fertilizer were all poured out in one go. The growth rate was indeed very fast. In the blink of an eye, a giant silicone tree had grown extremely thick. The branches quickly split apart and began to bloom into silica-like flowers. The flowers gradually grew bigger and bigger until they finally took the shape of a human. These humanoid figures grew larger and larger until they finally transformed into humanoid young girls. The most surprising thing was that these young girls had three-dimensional facial features and blinking eyes. If not for these silicone dolls hanging on the trees, people would have thought that they were real people. "This is too realistic." Ma Dongmin was really stunned. At the same time, her heart was filled with jealousy. She couldn't help it. These young girl silicone dolls were too beautiful. Each of them was lifelike, just like a real person. At the same time, their three-dimensional faces and plump breasts made her heart skip a beat even though she was a girl. Master. As soon as these silicone dolls opened their eyes, they seemed to be able to sense Wang Zhong and cried out happily. In Wang Zhong's mind, the information of the silicone dolls appeared. Strengthened silicone girl. A girl grown from strengthened silicone. Has extremely strong tenacity and vitality. Can survive as long as water daily. Docile personality. Only listens to the grower. Has monstrous strength. Can learn various skills, such as guns, driving, cooking, bed. Weakness. Afraid of high temperature because high temperature can melt the silicone girl. Damage can be repaired. Repair method. Plant them in the spiritual field and sprinkle them with nutrient solution. P.S. The seeds of the silicone girl are located in the brain. If the brain is broken, the silicone girl cannot be repaired. Good. After reading the introduction, Wang Zhong was overjoyed. Only listens to the grower, can learn various skills, and has monstrous strength. Isn't this the helper he needs? Calling me master sounds too bad. It sounds like a feudal society. Just call me boss from now on, Wang Zhong instructed. Boss, boss. The group of silicone dolls chirped. In the afternoon, Wang Zhong planted the remaining silicone doll army. He harvested 13 silicone girls from each tree. After plucking all of them, Wang Zhong discovered a very important problem. Although these silicone girls were obedient, they seemed to be brainless. For example, they would only execute an order. Usually, they would stand there stiffly and reveal a strange smile. This is too scary, Ma Dongmin said. She was worried that so many silicone girls would push her down from her position. In fact, she was thinking too much. She was very sensitive now. Fortunately, so many silicone girls looked different. Wang Zhong specially ordered clothes for them. There were numbers written on the back and chest of the clothes. Wang Zhong gave each of them a name that started with Chen. For example, Chen Meili, Chen Mimi, Chen Huilin, Chen Hui Hui, Chen Chaoan. After that, he rented an apartment nearby and got dozens of computers for them to learn various skills. While Wang Zhong was busy making the silicone girl stronger, Chao Ailing had been concentrating on cultivating the strengthened version of the Chi Fist technique at home. Although what Wang Zhong gave her was a sketch, Chao Ailing was able to see the improved content at a glance because she had learned these techniques before. After practicing for a full 7 days, Chao Ailing was pleasantly surprised to find that the parts of the technique that she didn't understand before had improved greatly. For example, in the past, the consumption of qi was very wasteful. Often, after a few punches, she would be out of breath and gasping for breath. But now, the utilization of qi had greatly improved. Moreover, after practicing this technique, she was pleasantly surprised to find that her qi had faintly improved. This was a kind of blessing in terms of strength, which more than doubled her attack power. Chen Anlin is really a talent. After his improvement, my Chi Fist has reached the 4th level. I'm afraid that I'm the strongest in the Chao family. Chao Ailing was very happy. She kept attacking the dummies in the yard. My parents will be very happy when they know. I'll give them a surprise later. While she was thinking, her aunt led a young man in. Chao Ailing frowned. She recognized this man. It was the young man that her aunt wanted to introduce to her. Originally, she was perfunctory, but she didn't expect her aunt to not give up and actually let him in. Ailing, this is Gao Mushi. Today, I'm not feeling well. He specially sent me to the hospital to check my body. I just passed by here and came to see you. Her aunt smiled with relief. She felt that Gao Mushi and Chao Ailing were a perfect match. Their family background was similar and they were very well matched. Hello Miss Chao, we meet again. Facing the cold Chao Ailing, Gao Mushi said with a smile. Meet again? Have we met before? Chao Ailing was puzzled. Miss Chao is so forgetful. Have you forgotten last year's banquet? At that time, Miss Chao sang a song at the banquet, which moved me very much. Is that so? You see, you can talk so much. Let's go in and eat something. Ai Ling, Gao Mushi also brought some gifts this time. Chao Ailing was a little embarrassed. She admitted that Gao Mushi was very good and his character was very elegant. But perhaps as an upper-class person, she had seen a lot of men with this elegant gentleman style, so she felt very dull. But since he came, she naturally reluctantly received him. When the woman came out, she immediately found an excuse to leave here. In the blink of an eye, 3 months passed, and Chao Ailing felt that her strength had reached a higher level. This was the benefit brought to her by the cultivation method. But it was also because of Wang Zhong's fruit. Because she was familiar with Wang Zhong gave her some special fruits that he exchanged in the mall, which benefited Chao Ailing a lot. Of course, in return, Chao Ailing provided a lot of internal information of the awakened office, so that Wang Zhong no longer had to worry about taking a detour. My menstrual cycle is back to normal too. After practicing the cultivation method for 3 months, in addition to the change in strength, what surprised Chao Ailing the most was that her period was normal. Haha, I said, my life is in my own hands. I, Chow Ailing, am really a woman of destiny. With this strength, the family doesn't have to force me to meet that Gao Mushi. Chapter 694. These days, what Chow Ailing heard the most was how good Gao Mushi was and how good his family was. She was tired of hearing it. Especially her aunt, every time she found an excuse to go out and talk to Gao Mushi. Gao Mushi was indeed excellent, but this thing was also about fate. She couldn't be interested in him just because he was excellent, right? In that case, there were many excellent people in the world. Did she have to like all of them? Therefore, Chow Ailing decided to make it clear to Gao Mushi that she was not suitable for him. It was good for everyone to be ordinary friends. We are not suitable? In the coffee shop, after hearing Chow Ailing's words, Gao Mushi was stunned. Why? He thought that he was so excellent that Chow Ailing should like him very much. Before, she was cold to him. He thought it was because Chow Ailing originally belonged to the cold type of goddess. Weren't all goddesses like this? The more she was like this, the more he felt that Chow Ailing was his true love. Unexpectedly, it was not because she was cold, but because she didn't like him. He didn't believe that he was so good. How could Chow Ailing not like him? Gao Mushi, you are a good person, really. I think you are very, very good, but it's hard to say about feelings, so I'm sorry. Chow Ailing sighed and said, Ailing, are you testing me? Gao Mushi thought it must be so. After all, there were so many women pursuing him. Chow Ailing said so, it must be to test his sincerity. Chow Ailing frowned and said, I mean it, you are not my type. So you have other people you like? No. Then why can't I? Gao Mushi really couldn't figure it out. After chatting with Gao Mushi for so long, now Chow Ailing felt that Gao Mushi was really too paranoid and didn't make sense at all. And he was also very conceited. He felt that it was inconceivable that she didn't like him. She didn't want to talk anymore and got up to leave. Damn it, why don't you care about me? I am so good. Looking at the empty position, Gao Mushi's face was angry. He was not a person who easily admitted defeat. In the following days, he had been pestering Chow Ailing. When Chow Ailing went to work, he sent her flowers and breakfast. When she got off work, he took the initiative to appear and invite her to dinner. But this made Chow Ailing feel more and more the horror of Gao Mushi. She felt fear and uneasiness from the bottom of her heart. In order to make him give up, Chow Ailing thought of a way. He hired his cousin to pretend to be his boyfriend. In order to make it real, after noticing that Gao Mushi was following them, he and his cousin took the initiative to go to the hotel, and the two people prepared to pretend to spend the night together. Unexpectedly, as soon as he moved in, Gao Mushi suddenly began to knock on the door. Pang pang pang. Gao Mushi, what do you mean? I am in love with my boyfriend. Why do you keep following me? Chow Ailing couldn't take it anymore. Because he doesn't look like a good person. I checked his information and he's 5 years younger than you. It's none of your business who I look for. Alright. You don't need me to care, right? Gao Mushi's eyes suddenly became cold. He looked at the hotel and suddenly smiled. Then I will die for you to see. Let's see if you can live well in the future. His voice fell. Gao Mushi actually rushed toward the hotel window. Seeing this scene, Chow Ailing and his cousin were stunned. Bang! Gao Mushi hit the concrete ground heavily, and his whole body turned into a pile of rotten meat, and he died on the spot. Sister! What should we do now? Chow Ailing's cousin didn't expect things to be so serious. Call the police. Chow Ailing frowned. Gao Mushi was dead now, which was very troublesome. She was worried that Gao family would be very angry. Gao family was very powerful. Although her Chow family was not afraid of them, she didn't want to have a conflict with Gao family. To Chow Ailing's relief, the Gao family was very open-minded after learning about it. Because they saw in the surveillance that Gao Mushi was completely paranoid. Chow Ailing clearly said that she didn't want to be with him, but he still pestered her. Gao family also felt that it was wrong. But what they didn't expect was that a year later, people began to die in this hotel one after another. No one knew why. Finally, the people from the awakened office came, but none of them came out after entering. Because this place was far from where Wang Zhong lived, and Wang Zhong had been teaching the Silicone Girls various skills recently, so he didn't come over. When he noticed this place, Wang Zhong felt that something was wrong. What a strong evil spirit aura! Standing outside the sealed hotel, Wang Zhong could sense that the inside of the hotel was dark. This place had already formed an evil spirit lair. With the support of the lair, the evil spirits here had their strength increased exponentially. He estimated that they could reach the level of level 8 awakened. At this level, even he would have a hard time dealing with them. Ding! Evil spirit nest discovered. This evil spirit nest has a tendency to become bigger. Please solve it as soon as possible. Mission completion reward: 3,000 technical points. Seeing the prompt, Wang Zhong raised his eyebrows. There were actually 3,000 technical points. This was the first time he encountered so many technical points. It was conceivable that this evil spirit nest was very difficult to deal with. "Are you all ready?" Wang Zhong said to the Silicone Girls behind him. "Ready. Okay, let's kill our way in." There were many evil spirits in the evil spirit nest. It was not easy to find the real evil spirit inside. During this period, there would definitely be evil spirits of all sizes harassing them. Therefore, Wang Zhong brought the Silicone Girls to deal with the evil spirits inside. Inside the hotel, Yin energy filled the sky. In the lobby alone, several former staff members arched their backs and turned to look at Wang Zhong. "Food is coming." The staff members all laughed and rushed toward Wang Zhong. This was because Wang Zhong was the only one with human aura. Wang Zhong did not move. The Silicone Girls behind him took the initiative to step forward. "Kill." The Silicone Girls moved quickly. Some took out exorcism mushrooms, some took out peachwood swords. Everyone had their own means to deal with the evil spirits. Wang Zhong's silicone army was unstoppable, crushing the evil spirits that rushed over. Wang Zhong did not move at all. He was sensing where the Yin energy was strongest. The evil spirit nest should be somewhere in the hotel. He just needed to find it. However, the deeper they went, the stronger the evil spirits they encountered. The Silicone Girl's strength was gradually unable to keep up. "Ah, my hand!" A Silicone Girl's arm was torn off. White fluid flowed out from the broken part. That's right, the Silicone Girls did not have blood. Their bodies were filled with the white fluid used to make silicone. "Ah, my shoulder. My leg." The exorcism mushrooms seemed to be useless. "Boss, the evil spirits here are too strong." They had already reached the second floor. The evil spirit strength was beyond everyone's expectations. Looking at the Silicone Girls around him falling one by one, a few of them had their heads scratched and fell to the ground dead. Chapter 695. Although these Silicone Girls weren't real people, they were still planted by him. Seeing them fall one by one, Wang Zhong's heart ached. Suddenly, a behemoth appeared in front of him. "Who dares to disturb my rest?" A tall, burly man with bulging muscles appeared in front of him. Gao Mushi. Seeing the person who appeared, Wang Zhong immediately recognized him. Isn't this the ultimate bootlicker who committed suicide for Chao Ailing last year? Naturally, Wang Zhong didn't know Gao Mushi. However, Gao Mushi's suicide had caused a huge commotion. When Chao Ailing had gone to his shop in private, she had talked to Wang Zhong. He also saw Gao Mushi's appearance on the news. At that time, Wang Zhong felt that Gao Mushi was a weirdo. His family was so good, and he was also an awakened. How could he be so weird? Why did he have to pursue Chao Ailing? Was Chao Ailing that good? Wang Zhong suddenly remembered that this Gao Mushi committed suicide in this hotel. At present, it seemed that he had become the owner of this place. Not only that, from the shape of his body, he was an awakened among the evil creatures. He had already transcended the existence of ordinary evil creatures. No wonder he became so powerful after just a year of death. Wang Zhong understood in his heart. Courting death. Gao Mushi stared coldly at Wang Zhong, grabbed an evil creature on the side, threw it into his mouth, and chewed. The evil creature screamed in pain in his mouth, but for Gao Mushi, this evil creature was very delicious, making him feel so good that he closed his eyes. In the end, he looked at Wang Zhong and grabbed at Wang Zhong. Evil vanquishing palm. Wang Zhong punched out. Gao Mushi sneered, "In my territory, I am invincible." A powerful aura shrouded Wang Zhong. Bang bang bang. The injured silicone girls beside him instantly exploded and died. So strong. Wang Zhong now saw the power of the evil spirit's lair. This power was indeed strong. Retreat. There was no need for a head-on clash. This time, he had lost 1/3 of his silicone army. If they continued to fight, he was worried that they would all be wiped out. With a thought, the group of silicone girls were all taken into the Shen Nong space. The plants that grew in the spiritual fields could all be stored in the Shen Nong space. Looking at the group of people who suddenly disappeared, Gao Mushi was stunned, and then he suddenly realized, "You have something like a space on you, right? Very good. After killing you and becoming my ghost servant, your things will belong to me." Gao Mushi was very confident. Perhaps everyone's strength was about the same, but in his lair, he had a steady supply of power, so he had a natural advantage. Naturally, Wang Zhong would not allow himself to be captured without putting up a fight. He took out 2 potatoes. "Haha, what are you going to do with 2 potatoes?" Gao Mushi sneered, thinking that Wang Zhong was scared by him and began to turn to any doctor. "Although I can't deal with you today, you can't make me stay either." After saying that, he threw the potato bomb behind him. "What is this?" Gao Mushi was stunned, and then, with a boom sound, the shock wave hit, and his soul was almost unstable. Fortunately, in the evil spirit's lair, he could absorb the soul power and replenish his energy. He grabbed a few more evil creatures, chewed, and strode in the direction Wang Zhong left. But it was too late. Wang Zhong had already left the hotel. After returning, Wang Zhong first planted the silicone girls in the ground, let them heal, and then thought about how to deal with Gao Mushi. In that hotel, Gao Mushi's strength could be said to be invincible, so if he wanted to deal with him, he had to find a way to make him take the initiative to come out. At this time, Wang Zhong thought of Chao Ailing. So he called Chao Ailing at the first time and told her that the reason why the evil spirit in the hotel was so strong was because of Gao Mushi. "I know it's him." After listening to Wang Zhong's words, Chao Ailing sighed, "Not long ago, my cousin was also killed, and he found me. Then why didn't he deal with you?" Wang Zhong was puzzled. "Because he said that he wants me to give birth to a child, and he wants me to be his person when I die. On the 1st of next month, he wants to marry me." "Great." Wang Zhong on the phone was overjoyed. "Chen Anlin, what do you mean?" Chao Ailing's expression changed. She didn't expect Wang Zhong to be so happy when he heard about her. "You misunderstood. What I mean is, when he marries you, it will definitely be a good thing." "I won't marry him, even if I die." Chao Ailing had even considered finding a place far away to commit suicide. These days, she had also informed the office of the incident, and the office had sent people over. However, the evil spirit was too strong, and the people in the office suffered heavy casualties. Not only did they not get rid of Gao Mushi, but they also let Gao Mushi eat more spirits, increasing his strength. "Chao Ailing, don't worry, listen to me. What I mean is, you can lure him out. The area he is in has become an evil spirit's lair, and his strength has been greatly increased there. Moreover, the power he consumed can be replenished immediately, so it's very difficult to deal with. Only by luring him out can we weaken his strength. This time, he wants to marry you, and you pretend to agree to lure him out. At that time, I will wait for the opportunity to act. This way." Chao Ailing's eyes lit up. "Then I will contact the team." "It's better not to contact them, I will do it myself." After all, if he wanted to earn technical points, he wouldn't be able to earn it if others interfered. "You will deal with it yourself?" "Well, if there are too many people, there will be too many casualties. I can do it myself. Then, okay. Chow Ailing also knew about Wang Zhong's strength, so she agreed. Aileen, I beg you, marry him. The next night, Big Ant came again. It turned out that after Gao Mushi became an evil spirit, other than killing Chow Ailing's cousin, he also found the people around Chow Ailing. Gao Mushi only had one goal, and that was to put pressure on Chow Ailing to marry him willingly. It had to be said that although his method was vicious, the effect was very good. Chow Ailing's relatives and friends all came, begging Chow Ailing to marry Gao Mushi. Ailing. Big Ant continued to pull Chow Ailing's arm, almost kneeling down. Big Ant, you were the one who introduced that guy to me. Didn't you say he was very good? What do you think of him now? Chow Ailing looked at Big Ant coldly and said, This? Big Ant was stunned, and said with a bitter face, I am doing it for your own good. Stop pretending, it's because your family's business has dealings with the Gao family, so you introduced him. In the end, you are doing it for your own benefit. Isn't that right? Big Ant stopped talking, and at this time, other relatives came to persuade her. Ailing, just take it as doing it for your parents. Chapter 696. Aileen, think of it as for your parents. For our Chow family. Yes, Chow Aileen, sacrifice yourself, but think about it, our Chow family will be able to continue. I know you're not happy, but there's nothing we can do about it. Who asked Gao Mushi to like you? If it were me, I would definitely agree. After all, the whole family will be fine even if I sacrifice myself. Auntie spoke passionately, as if this was the best choice for her. Chow Aileen looked at her with a cold smile. Okay, Auntie, since you said so, fine, I agree to marry him. Great. Everyone in the Gao family was ecstatic. Aileen, it's good that you can think like this. In fact, marrying him is not a bad thing. Maybe he can bless us. Haha, do you think an evil spirit can protect us? Auntie's face froze, and she smiled, I'm just saying it casually. Chow Aileen looked at the whole family, including her parents, who were all silent. She sneered. It turned out that she was just a tool in this family. She no longer hid it, and she pointed at her auntie and said, Okay, I agree to marry him, but I'll be too lonely if I go alone. Auntie, didn't you say that you can sacrifice yourself? I want you to die, accompany me, and I'll marry him. What? Auntie's face turned pale, and she shouted in horror, How can you do that? Didn't you say that you can sacrifice yourself? I'll give you a chance. Chow Aileen said to the other relatives, What do you think? They could see that Chow Aileen was very serious. This is what we should do, Zhong Wan. Let's do as Aileen says. Finally, Auntie's uncle said coldly, Then it's settled. Auntie, you have a high awareness. Chow Aileen said proudly. No, I don't want to, get lost. Zhong Wan shouted hysterically. At this moment, a cold wind blew outside the house, and yellow hell coins fell from the sky. A child with a pale face walked out of the cold wind. He had thick blush on both sides of his face, and his long tongue was sticking out. His eyes were as big as copper bells. This was an evil spirit that was tortured to death, and it was also a little ghost sent by Gao Mushi. Chow Clan. My master sent me here to ask if Chow Ailing agrees to get married. If she doesn't agree, my master will flatten this place. The little ghost that came to deliver the message was arrogant and did not put these people in his eyes at all. I can get married, but I want you to kill my aunt and take her soul away. Chow Ailing pointed at the trembling Zhong Wan and bluntly shouted. That's easy. Imp didn't care about the grudges between them. To him, it was enough to make his master happy and listen to his master. Then, he looked at Zhong Wan and reached out his hand calmly. No, I don't want to die, Chow Ailing. To think that I'm your aunt. Why are you still dragging me into your death? Zhong Wan screamed, but it was too late. The ghostly hand pierced her body and dug out her heart. Master said that on the 1st of next month, you have to dress up beautifully. He will drive over to pick you up." Picking up Zhang Wan's soul, Imp turned around and left. Zhang Wan's death didn't cause much of a reaction to the Chow family. In fact, the uncle was very happy because with Zhang Wan's death, he could finally openly promote his mistress. The first day finally arrived. On this day, Chow Ailing was wearing a red wedding dress and sitting alone in her boudoir. Her mother was combing her hair while crying. "Daughter, I'm sorry. I'm really useless as a mother. Boo-hoo. Mom, don't cry. Things might not be that bad." Chow Ailing looked at the small forest downstairs. There, a figure was quietly hiding. That person was naturally Wang Zhong. He came here in advance to wait for Gao Mushi's arrival. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At 12 o'clock at night, the wind was howling outside. Under the pitch-black night sky, a series of cars were driving towards them. This was not a real car, but a paper car made of paper. This was the paper car that Gao Mushi used to pick up the bride. There were a total of 18 paper cars. Countless evil creatures became his team to pick up the bride. From this, it could be seen that Gao Mushi, this evil spirit, had become the most powerful existence in this area. The car stopped at the gate of the Chow family, and Gao Mushi got off. He was taller and stronger than before. The red bridegroom's clothes were like blood on his body, which added a bit of evil aura to him. His face was not pale, but full of blood, but there were vein-like lines on his face, which covered his eyes. This made him look particularly ferocious. "Where's my wife, Chow Ailing?" Gao Mushi shouted faintly. "I'm here." The door of the Chow family opened, and Chow Ailing came out. She was really beautiful, so beautiful that it made Gao Mushi tremble a bit. "Chow Ailing, you're finally going to marry me. How about it? You've always looked down on me, but you still married me in the end." Gao Mushi smiled coldly and walked toward Chow Ailing step by step. "You can rest assured that I won't kill you, because you have to give birth to my children. In the future, you will be my first wife." Chow Ailing was unyielding. She stared at Gao Mushi firmly and said, "Gao Mushi, you're really the most shameless person I've ever seen. You dare to scold me?" Gao Mushi was stunned. At this moment, Chow Ailing still dared to scold him. She was really reckless. His face twisted and he shouted, "It seems that you still don't know how powerful I am. Since you don't know what's good for you, I will destroy your family." Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, a series of explosions came from behind Gao Mushi. He was frightened and turned his head to look. All the cars he brought to pick up the bride were blown up. "Who dares to blow up my cars?" Gao Mushi's eyes were cold. He knew that the person who appeared was not an ordinary person because this was not an ordinary explosion, but a bomb that could destroy otherworldly items. Wang Zhong slowly walked out of the woods on the side. His face was calm. Obviously, he was alone, but as soon as he appeared, Chow Ailing felt relieved. "Chow Ailing, step back." Wang Zhong stood in front of Chow Ailing and said, "Okay, thank you, Mr. Chen." Chow Ailing's heart was touched. Since she was entangled by Gao Mushi, this evil spirit, she saw everyone around her clearly, even her biological parents. She was very desperate for them. In the whole world, only Wang Zhong helped her in her most difficult time. "Don't worry." Wang Zhong gave Chow Ailing a calm look. All of a sudden, Chow Ailing walked to Wang Zhong's side and planted a fierce kiss on his cheek. Wang Zhong was stunned for a moment. When Gao Mushi saw this scene, his anger soared to the sky. "I was wondering why you didn't want to marry me. It turns out that you already have a sweetheart. Well, I will get you in front of your sweetheart." Gao Mushi's resentment soared to the sky. He felt that he had been cuckolded. Chapter 697. Gao Mushi's eyes were bloodshot. He didn't say anything, but the evil creatures behind him rushed over. Wang Zhong was already prepared. He snorted and took the initiative to approach Gao Mushi. Capture the leader first. As long as he got rid of Gao Mushi, these ordinary evil creatures would be vulnerable. Golden Pumpkin. Suddenly, a golden pumpkin appeared in Wang Zhong's hand. The golden pumpkin was very precious. One seed could only grow one pumpkin. It was a force field that could crush evil creatures. This was a newly planted plant after the promotion. The golden pumpkin was shrouded in Buddhist light. As soon as it appeared, it seemed that someone was chanting Buddhist scriptures. Puff, puff, puff. The evil creatures close to Wang Zhong were all scattered by the golden light emitted by the golden pumpkin. They suffered heavy casualties. So strong. Gao Mushi's expression suddenly changed. He wanted to retreat. After all, this was not his field. It was very dangerous for him to have less power outside. Rustle. Wang Zhong pulled out the bronze sword and swept out. The evil creatures in front of him were all cut into pieces, and then he came in front of Gao Mushi. Gao Mushi could only try his best to resist at the moment, but soon he found something wrong. Grapes appeared in the air like Buddhist beads, constantly enlarging in front of him. He didn't dare to be negligent. The bloody light on his body grew rapidly. The red blood energy was like an armor, covering his whole body. This layer of bloody light was like a protective shield that could resist the attack. Puff, puff, puff. His blood energy touched Wang Zhong's bronze sword and Buddhist beads and began to quickly retreat. Bang! Finally, the blood energy was broken, and Gao Mushi took the opportunity to pull away. At the moment, Gao Mushi's state was very bad. The broken blood energy was the power of the field that he relied on to survive. In this power, he was invincible. It was also the reason why the evil creatures bowed their heads. But now the blood energy field was broken, and his vitality was greatly damaged. His eyes were full of resentment. He wanted to take revenge, but he didn't dare because he knew that Wang Zhong's strength was above him. If it was in the nest, he had the power to crush. But here, it was absolutely impossible. He suddenly understood that he was led here. Chao Ailing didn't compromise at all. Bitch. Gao Mushi couldn't wait to turn Chao Ailing into ashes. However, he still had his wits, so he immediately turned around and left. You want to leave? Too late. Behind him, an army of masked silicone girls wearing tights attacked. Each of them held a golden pumpkin in their hands, and the Buddhist light shrouded them all. Sanskrit murmured in the air, and wherever it passed, countless evil beings were destroyed and dissipated into the air. So many people. Gao Mushi's scalp was numb. This army of silicone girls didn't have any blood aura, and that wasn't all. More importantly, each of them had one of those golden pumpkins. He didn't know what this pumpkin was, but it was very difficult to deal with. Even though his subordinates were very powerful, they were clearly suppressed by the golden pumpkin. Wang Zhong's forces were like a hot knife through butter. Gao Mushi couldn't retreat even if he wanted to. He could only passively face Wang Zhong's offensive. It was getting harder and harder for Gao Mushi to resist. Finally, Wang Zhong's figure flashed, and two more golden pumpkins appeared, smashing them on Gao Mushi's body. In an instant, Gao Mushi's left and right arms were blown away. Black souls were leaking out of his arms, and his strength was getting weaker and weaker. Finally, he fell to the ground. You can't kill me. I have connections with the masters of several evil spirit lairs. If you kill me, they will come after you. Wang Zhong, who originally wanted to make a move, was moved. Wouldn't it be better if they came after me? Okay, I'll keep you. If no one comes after me, then you can die. Wang Zhong took away Gao Mushi's soul, and after bidding farewell to Chao Ailing, he left. Wang Zhong didn't plan to hide what happened here, because the more he hid, the worse it would be. Finally, the next day, Chao Ailing and the head of the office, Zhang Yaowen, came. Only the two of them came because according to Chao Ailing's suggestion, Wang Zhong didn't like crowds. In order to avoid provoking Wang Zhong, Zhang Yaowen came alone. When Wang Zhong was ready to help Chao Ailing, he was already prepared to let others know his true strength. Because there was no need to hide it now. In terms of personal strength, he stood at the peak. In terms of the forces behind him, his army of silicone girls was in the Shennong space, and there were already thousands of them. His magic tools and various offensive plants had piled up into a mountain in the Shennong space, enough to cultivate an army of real people. Zhang Yaowen came over to talk about cooperation. Now, he didn't plan to recruit him, but to cooperate. After all, the other party was someone who had the ability to deal with the evil spirit lairs. It would be very difficult for his awakened office to deal with such evil spirit lairs. Even if they could deal with it, many people would die. Wang Zhong agreed to help provide fruits and magic tools to enhance strength, but the condition was that he needed a large piece of land to build his own farm. The matter of land was a small matter, so Zhang Yaowen naturally agreed. In the following days, countless high-ranking officials and noble guests came to befriend Wang Zhong. However, Wang Zhong basically avoided them all. He mostly cooperated with the office and made friends with various evil spirit lairs. During this period, Wang Zhong gave some cucumbers to Ma Feifei and Zhou Miaoyu every month to nourish their bodies. Both of them were very strong. After graduation, they came to farm with Wang Zhong. 3 years later, both of them had children. In order to avoid the outside world's influence on the children, Wang Zhong let them go out to gain experience in a low-key way. Ma Feifei and Zhou Miaoyu told their children the same thing. They had divorced their father, and their family was very poor and lived a hard life. They used this to encourage the children to work hard and not develop the bad habit of being arrogant. Wang Zhong occasionally met the two girls in private, and his days were quite happy. But what made him helpless was that Chao Ailing was now sticking to him. Ever since he saved her, Chao Ailing didn't tell anyone about the improved Qi fist because she saw the selfishness and indifference of her family, so she didn't want to give it to them. She chose to live with Wang Zhong. Seeing that this little girl was quite pitiful, Wang Zhong had no choice but to take her in. 10 years later, with the help of Wang Zhong's fruits, the awakened team grew stronger and stronger, and Wang Zhong naturally became the highest leader of the awakened office. He became a legendary figure, and everyone hoped to get his help to eat the magical fruits. 50 years later, Chao Ailing, Ma Feifei, and Zhou Miaoyu passed away one after another. Wang Zhong also tried to plant them, but he found a very important problem. Because their lifespan was up, those who died naturally couldn't grow back. After the bodies were buried, a tree grew. A tree that Wang Zhong had never seen before. It was very tenacious, with luxuriant leaves and thick branches. Wang Zhong didn't know if this tree was their tree, but looking at these trees, he would occasionally think of the days when the village used to farm. Brother Chen. Ma Dongmin appeared behind him. Food is ready. Yes, I know. Wang Zhong nodded slightly and sighed. Ma Dongmin was a planted corpse, so theoretically, she could continue to live. Now that Wang Zhong was already so old, Ma Dongmin usually took care of him. Ma Dongmin, I feel that I'm getting more and more tired recently. I'm afraid I won't be able to live much longer. After I die, bury me beside these 3 trees. Wang Zhong said lightly. He had seen through everything in the world. Ma Dongmin didn't cry, but from her frown, it could be seen that she was very upset. Brother Chen, if I kill you and plant you, maybe you don't have to die. Wang Zhong shook his head. People will die. If you do this, even if you live, what's the point? Ma Dongmin lowered her head and cried. With that, Wang Zhong summoned the Shennong inheritance. This inheritance had already reached the top level. Under the suggestion of the inheritance assistant, this inheritance could be given to the fated person. Wang Zhong looked at Ma Dongmin and said, I'll give you the Shennong inheritance. In the future, take good care of this garden for me. I understand. A month later, Wang Zhong quietly left the bed. Brother Chen, don't leave me. Looking at the motionless Wang Zhong, Ma Dongmin cried. But she also knew that the dead couldn't be revived. Although she was sad, she could only accept this fact. She followed Wang Zhong's last wish and buried him in the spiritual field. From this day onwards, Ma Dongmin became the new owner of this spiritual field. Mission character, Farmer Chan Anlin mission objective. I don't want to die a horrible death. I want to become stronger. Lifespan, 71 partner. 0, although you have a lover, you aren't married. Offspring, 3, you didn't want them to be affected by you, so you sent them away when they were very young. You taught them to endure hardships. Achievement evaluation. You are standing at the peak of that world. You are already a godlike existence. Your spiritual field will forever exist in this world. Reward received, 83,692 experience points. The experience points this time exceeded Wang Zhong's expectations. It was really too much. Thinking about it carefully, it was normal. This time, his strength reached the highest level and he became a top-level existence. He completed the mission beyond expectations. Not only that, but he also helped ordinary people become stronger. This achievement wasn't as simple as making himself stronger. Because he completed so many missions beyond expectations, he received a lot of rewards. Opening his eyes, Wang Zhong wasn't in the mood to sleep. Currently, his experience points were close to 200,000. He was thinking about a question. Since he could use experience points to exchange for various items in the game, could he exchange for this spiritual field too? Exchange for the Shenong inheritance. As soon as he thought of it, Wang Zhong initiated the exchange. The amount for the Shenong inheritance appeared in front of him. 1 million experience points. Upon seeing this amount, Wang Zhong immediately jumped in fright. It was too expensive. He would have to play the game at least 10 times to earn that much experience points. But thinking about it, the amazing thing about the Shenong inheritance was that this inheritance was comparable to all cultivation treasures like spiritual root liquid and spiritual root water. Moreover, it could be used to plant all kinds of things. Its value was obviously not something that ordinary treasures could compare to. In that case, it was normal for it to be more expensive. Ding! At this moment, a newly unlocked reborn creature appeared in front of him. Chapter 698. Ding! Successfully unlocked a new reborn creature. Slave Abai. Mission objective. I don't want to be a slave and live a mediocre life. I want to escape from this place and become an overlord. Ding! Successfully unlocked a new reborn creature. Monkey DeBeo. Mission objective. My parents were killed by aliens. I want to avenge them. I want to be like my parents and become King Kong. This time, there were 2 choices. Wang Zhong didn't have a choice. He planned to rest for a few days and experience the prosperity of this small spirit energy world. The next day, under the lead of his senior, Su Nis, he went to the class to listen to the class. The class that Wang Zhong entered was considered a relatively outstanding class. Most of the people in the class were talented people. Here, he got to know many classmates. Unlike in novels, these classmates were very cute. They wouldn't glare at each other because of a disagreement, and they wouldn't be jealous because you were strong. This made Wang Zhong feel very comfortable. Being able to enter this class was naturally because the higher-ups had taken a fancy to Wang Zhong's talent. In the morning, the school organized a strength test for everyone. This time, Wang Zhong used 20% of his strength. Even so, he still got first place and successfully entered the outstanding class. As a native of Yellow Earth planet, Wang Zhong received a lot of attention as soon as he entered the classroom. Is this the first place of this batch of newcomers? He looks ordinary. Yes, the masters were right. You can't judge a book by its cover. Most people looked at Wang Zhong curiously. When they passed by some boys and girls, these people greeted him in a friendly manner. From this day onwards, most people in the school knew about Wang Zhong's name. Wang Zhong didn't like to talk, but the natives of the small spirit energy world were very enthusiastic and open. Junior Wang Zhong, the Yellow Earth planet you came from must be very fun, right? Junior Wang Zhong, today is your first day here. I'll treat you to fried noodles tonight. Junior, to celebrate your arrival, let's spar later and then watch an opera. How about that? The entertainment here was relatively simple, but Wang Zhong also felt the enthusiasm of his classmates. In just 3 days, he had made quite a few friends. The classes here were not as boring as he had imagined. The teachers were all very humorous and took good care of a newcomer like him. Especially after Wang Zhong displayed his tyrannical talent, they liked him even more. Wang Zhong, your talent is not bad. I have specially applied for an opportunity for you to enter the ancient battlefield to comprehend. I hope you can make good use of this opportunity. On this day, the homeroom teacher, Yao Qin, went to talk to Wang Zhong alone. Wang Zhong knew about the ancient battlefield as well. It was said that the spirit qi in the spirit qi pocket world was even denser in the past. Because of the denser spirit qi, countless experts were born. These experts could split mountains, swallow mountains and rivers, move mountains and fill seas. There were even some experts whose bodies were as large as mountains. It was just that later on, these powerhouses had conflicts and a war broke out. Every expert's forces were fighting in the ancient battlefield. That battle lasted for over 100 years, and it directly led to a change in the energy of the ancient battlefield. After that, some people estimated that at least billions of people had died there. Countless experts had fallen there. After these experts died, their energy did not dissipate in the ancient battlefield for a long time and formed a domain. In that domain, one could often see the posture and battle of the ancient experts. If one was lucky, one could even pick up the inheritance of an expert. However, there were dangers in the depths of the battlefield. Therefore, that place was not open to the public. Every sect controlled the entrance to the ancient battlefield. In order to ensure safety, there was a certain distance between each entrance. Beyond this distance, it was strictly forbidden to enter. Thank you, Teacher Yao Qin. I will cherish this opportunity. Wang Zhong said. Go and prepare. You will enter in 3 days. This time, Spirit Dream Sect had a total of 10 people entering the ancient battlefield. There were 8 students and 2 teachers. These 2 teachers had the chance to advance. Therefore, Spirit Dream Sect had sent them in to lead the students. To Wang Zhong's surprise, Zhao Meng, who was also from Yellow Saturn Star, was also in the team. Wang Zhong, congratulations. You can actually enter the ancient battlefield in such a short time. Zhao Meng's eyes were filled with envy. One must know that she had been studying here for 3 years. Moreover, the reason why she was able to enter the ancient battlefield was not because of her talent. She looked at Wang Zhong in front of her with a complicated expression. She understood that the reason why she was able to enter the ancient battlefield was because she had made a great contribution. She had found a genius for Spirit Dream Sect. That person was Wang Zhong. If it wasn't for her great contribution, she might not have the chance to enter the ancient battlefield in her lifetime. Congratulations to you too. Wang Zhong turned his head and nodded at Zhao Meng as a form of greeting. After entering, if you have any questions, you can ask me. Although your cultivation is higher than mine, I have been here for a long time. I have some understanding of the internal affairs of the ancient battlefield. Zhao Meng was trying to get closer to him. She had a premonition that this man in front of her had a limitless future. Of course, she had to get closer to him as soon as possible. Thank you very much. You're welcome. The two of them chatted casually and became more familiar with each other. This made Zhao Meng secretly excited. She secretly thought that the feeling of hugging someone's thigh was pretty good. Other than Zhao Meng, the others only nodded at Wang Zhong and didn't say much. Those who were able to stand here were basically all blessed by the heavens with amazing talent. They wouldn't purposely curry favor with Wang Zhong. Finally, the group arrived at the back mountain of Spirit Dream Sect. This place was shrouded in white fog and the spiritual energy was dense. They could faintly see white cranes flying across the sky. There was a pair of disciples waiting at the foot of the mountain. When they saw Wang Zhong and the rest coming over, they all came forward to welcome them. 2 teachers took the token and handed it over. After it was done, the group walked towards the white fog in front of them. Everyone, follow us closely. The ancient battlefield is huge. In order not to lose yourself, you must bring the token with you. If you encounter any danger, just crush the token. The lead teacher reminded them out of goodwill and continued, in addition, if you are to comprehend inside, as the energy in the ancient battlefield is extremely violent, you can't comprehend for a long time. You must rely on your own strength to comprehend. If you can't endure it, crush the token. If you can endure it, you can give it a try. However, remember not to be greedy. Understood, teacher. The few students replied in unison. In fact, before entering, the teachers had already informed the students about the situation inside. At this moment, the lead teacher was just reminding them again. Stepping into the white fog, everything in front of them was white. It felt as though there was a layer of gauze in front of them, making them unable to see the situation in front of them. All of a sudden, a dense energy blocked Wang Zhong's advance. This energy was spiritual energy. Wang Zhong felt that he could easily absorb it. No wonder everyone is racking their brains to come here. This place is really not bad. Wang Zhong was delighted as he quickened his pace. After walking for about 100 meters, the view in front of him was indeed much better. The ground was filled with sand. Occasionally, he could see pieces of rocks piled up together. Walala! What surprised him was that he actually came to a beach. The clear water in front of him washed the beach. Occasionally, he could see crabs crawling by. Seems like I have been separated from the others, Wang Zhong muttered as he looked at the token in his hand. However, it was much quieter to be alone. He began to face Dahai and meditated. There seemed to be day and night here. In the evening, it started to drizzle. Wang Zhong found a cave nearby that wasn't very big. There should be people living here in the past. There were traces of a fire on the ground and some simple hay. Strange, I didn't see any plants along the way. Why is there hay? Wang Zhong felt that the surface area of this ancient battlefield was extremely large. After packing up the things in the cave, he sat down cross-legged and absorbed the spiritual energy in the air. After cultivating for more than a week, Wang Zhong realized that apart from the spiritual energy, he could also vaguely see some images. These images were stored in the spiritual energy. Some of the images recorded scenes of battles. Two experts were fighting and eventually perished together. All the spiritual energy in their bodies turned into nourishment for this battlefield. Some of the images were of a person sitting cross-legged on the ground and comprehending on his own. There were also images of fairies who were whispering sweet nothings to their loved ones. However, they were suddenly chased by enemies. The fairies were heartbroken when their loved ones died in front of them. They were in great pain and finally escaped with their peerless martial arts. These memories allowed Wang Zhong to have a deeper understanding of martial arts. When he was bored and tired from cultivating, Wang Zhong would swim in the sea. No one had been here for thousands of years. The sea was rich in resources. After swimming a few rounds, Wang Zhong caught a bunch of big crabs and a few big fish. There was no firewood in this place. However, it didn't matter. Wang Zhong entered the store and exchanged for some firewood. Firewood wasn't very precious. Hence, the price was very cheap. The grilled fish and crabs were sizzling over the fire. Soon, the smell of the grilled fish filled his nose. This kind of seafood didn't need any seasoning. It was delicious to eat it as it was. His mouth was filled with the taste of Dahai. The taste is not bad. Wang Zhong ate happily. Perhaps it was because of the fragrance. Two people walked over. Junior Wang Zhong. The two of them were in the same team. The two of them were like brothers. He didn't expect them to move together after entering the ancient battlefield. Senior Zhao Chen, Senior Lu Wei, what a coincidence. I could smell the seafood from afar. So it's you. Zhao Chen's eyes lit up. These days, he had been eating the dry food that he brought in. At this moment, when he saw Wang Zhong's barbecue, he couldn't help but want to take a bite. If you don't mind, let's eat together. After not seeing anyone for a long time, Wang Zhong also wanted to chat with them. The two of them didn't stand on ceremony. After thanking him, they sat down cross-legged. Speaking of which, I heard that a few students died in the ancient battlefield recently. I don't know what happened. While eating, Zhao Chen chatted. Chapter 699. Didn't they say that we can't enter the ancient battlefield? Why would people die there? Wang Zhong asked, puzzled. The person next to him smiled and said, "It's indeed dangerous inside, but as the saying goes, danger coexists with opportunity. There are dangers inside, but there are also many opportunities. For example, there are ancient experts who died there. Because very few people enter the ancient battlefield, it's very likely that there are inheritances. At the very least, there might be powerful treasures dropped by some experts. If you can get them, it's a great opportunity. So, although the teachers said that we can't enter, it's not a hard and fast rule. Every year, there will be some people who risk their lives to enter." Wang Zhong nodded and said, "I see. Thank you for the explanation. Junior Wang Zhong, you're too polite." The two of them chatted for a while and then went to rest. The next day, Wang Zhong packed some grilled fish for them and the two of them bid farewell and left. After listening to their explanation, the two of them were not going to enter the ancient battlefield. They just wanted to walk around the periphery to experience the environment and gain some enlightenment. That was all. Wang Zhong was not going to enter the ancient battlefield. These days, he stayed in the cave at night and wandered around during the day. He met many people. These people were not his classmates, but people from other schools. Although these people didn't enter from the same entrance, they still bumped into Wang Zhong as they wandered around. Wang Zhong did not chat much with these people. As he strolled around the place alone, he gained quite a lot and gained quite a bit of enlightenment. Perhaps there was no progress in his cultivation, but his ability to understand martial arts had improved greatly, especially in terms of his foundation. Previously, his cultivation had progressed too quickly, causing his foundation to be weak. But now, this problem was being solved. Another week passed. Wang Zhong felt very comfortable here. He forgot about time and the outside world. He kind of liked this uninhabited and picturesque world. One day, Wang Zhong opened his eyes and suddenly saw a mission notification. He shook his head helplessly. He had been here for so long that he had forgotten the mission. Well, it's been so long. It's about time to go. With that, Wang Zhong began to consider which world to choose. Slave Abai. Monkey de Bao. After thinking about it, Wang Zhong did not hesitate to choose the slave Abai. He didn't like the fact that the ape didn't look like a human at all. Reborn creature. Slave Abai. Creature description. This is a world where technology and savagery coexist. As the child of a slave couple, Abai has been working since he was very young, providing various resources to the upper class of Steel City in exchange for food. As slaves, the upper class people could kill and enslave them at will, and they couldn't resist. Ever since he was very young, Abai had always wanted to rebel. Every time he saw the decorous robots of the superiors killing the rebels, his heart would scream, "I want to be a superior too. I don't want to be a slave anymore. I don't want to see my future wife and children become slaves. I want to resist." So, he joined the resistance army. Unfortunately, after joining the resistance army for so many years, he did not achieve anything. In the end, he was surrounded by the decorous and died tragically on the battlefield. Mission objective: I don't want to die on the battlefield, I don't want to be a slave, I want to climb up, I want to become the ruler of the upper class. Mission completion reward. Random experience points. Heartwarming tip: to become the ruler of the upper class, it's not as simple as becoming an upper class person. The upper class of Steel City. Wang Zhong's eyes narrowed. This world is a world where technology and savagery coexist. Seems like it's related to science fiction. To be honest, Wang Zhong was a little disappointed because if it was related to cultivation, he would have a bigger advantage. This was a world of technology, and one thing was for sure. In a world with technology, there was no cultivation. Suddenly, everything in front of him turned dark, and he felt like he was wrapped in something. I'm going to give birth, I'm going to give birth. Du Meili, hang in there, the fat woman is coming, hang in there. I can't hold on. Following a shrill scream, Wang Zhong felt the weight beside him suddenly loosen, and he slid out. Bang! He fell on a hard steel plate, and his body felt uncomfortable. It's a son. The man's rough hands picked up Wang Zhong. Wang Zhong could feel the thick calluses on the man's hands. He was probably wearing thick leather clothes and pants, and it made Wang Zhong very uncomfortable. Aren, put the child down. Be careful not to freeze him, the woman said weakly. I'll be right there. At this time, the door was pushed open, and a fat woman walked in. Fat woman, why are you only here now? Aren complained. I just met a deaconess on the way here for an inspection. What inspection in the middle of the night? I heard that there was a robot dog from the rebel army nearby. It killed a deaconess, and the outside is under martial law again. The fat woman's voice was a little breathless, and it seemed like she had spent a lot of effort to come here. Sorry to trouble you, the mother, Du Meili, said apologetically. What are you talking about? It's what I should do. But I didn't expect you to have already given birth. Your body is really good. The fat woman began to tidy up. First, she cut the umbilical cord, then gave Wang Zhong a hot bath. Finally, a furry blanket covered Wang Zhong's body. Sigh, this blanket cost me 20 energy points, and it can only be used for a few days. It's too wasteful. Looking at the brand new blanket on Wang Zhong, Aren was a little reluctant to part with it. I can't help it. There are no suitable clothes at home. Du Meili said helplessly, if the child catches a cold, you'll have to spend even more energy points. That's true. Be more worried. Don't let him catch a cold. There aren't many energy points at home. A year had passed. Wang Zhong gradually learned how to walk from a thin and weak child. He learned how to greet the people around him, and he became a member of the family in the slave mining area. In the past year, Wang Zhong gradually understood how the slave mining area operated and his family. His father was called Aran, and he was an honest slave miner. He was usually a very good person. He was hardworking, considerate of his wife, and doted on his child. The only flaw was that he was a little stingy. He would check his energy points several times every day. Whenever his family bought something, he would feel distressed for a long time. His mother was called Du Meili, a very simple name. Her job was not as a miner, but in a mineral refinery on the edge of the mine. She did ordinary assembly line work. Naturally, her salary was much less than Aran, a miner. There was also an older brother at home. His name was Ahe. Ahe was 7 years old. Wang Zhong was already 7 years old. At a young age, he had already followed Du Meili into the refinery to do some ordinary work. That's right. As the children of the most ordinary slave family, the children here were not qualified to study. Their birth meant that they were slaves. In the future, their lives would be the same as Aren's. They would marry a slave girl. In the future, their children would also be slaves. They would do the same work as their parents and grandparents. They lived in slave community number 13. The facilities of the house were very simple. It was just an iron house, a bit like a large iron box house. There were a total of 3 rooms. In the middle was the place to eat, and on both sides were the houses of his parents and Ahe. However, with the birth of Wang Zhong, Du Meili and Aran were discussing whether they should save money to buy an iron house. In this day and age, it was very difficult for a slave to marry a wife. First of all, one had to have a strong body and strength. One had to be very healthy. Only then could one be considered to be able to work in the mine. Working in the mine was very tiring. The energy points earned were based on one's output. The higher the output, the more contribution, and the more energy points. Therefore, people with great strength and good health had an advantage in working in the mine. Other than good health, the hard currency to get a wife was an iron house. This type of iron house was sturdy and durable. It would not be shaken by a magnitude 10 wind or a magnitude 10 earthquake. Therefore, an iron house would usually cost hundreds of thousands of energy points. To Aran and his wife, who only earned a few hundred energy points a day, this was a huge sum of money. Fortunately, they already had an iron house. As long as they earned the energy points of an iron house, their youngest son, Bai, would not have to worry about finding a wife in the future. In the slave community, energy points were the currency here. They were not real paper money. Instead, they were stored in every slave's electronic bracelet. The electronic bracelet was similar to the identity card of this world. It could store energy points and personal identification information. When questioned by the Decurion, one only needed to flash their electronic bracelet, and the Decurion's electronic eyes would scan it. In theory, energy points could be used to buy anything other than weapons. The way to earn energy points was naturally to enter the mines and excavate various mineral resources. These resources would be transported to other slave areas by giant transport trucks for refinement. Finally, they would be refined and sent to the continent in the sky, Steel City. Thinking of this, Wang Zhong, who was sitting alone in his baby chair, looked at the city in the sky under the scorching sun. Steel City. That's right, Steel City was floating in the sky. It could not be said to be floating. Steel City was supported by hundreds of huge iron pillars and stood in the sky. None of the slaves knew how big Steel City was. They only knew that it was very, very big. At least, it was much bigger than the area they lived in. The people who lived in Steel City were called upper-class people. The upper-class people's way of controlling the slave community was very simple. It was through the Decurion's army. The Decurion was a huge robot. It walked on 2 legs, and when it walked on the road, it would make a uniform thumping sound. The reason it was called a Decurion was because a Decurion could aim at 10 enemies at the same time. In other words, it had the ability to fight 10 enemies at once. Hence, it was called a Decurion. That's Steel City, where the upper-class people live. Wang Zhong was still young, but he frowned. It was so high up in the sky, so heavily guarded, and no slave had ever set foot in this place. How was he going to get there? Thump, thump, thump. A deafening sound came as a Decurion came in front of Wang Zhong. People lived in darkness. Only this slave community was not polluted due to its geographical location. Afterwards, the war stopped, and the countries of the upper classes won. The people of the other countries were all captured and became the slaves of the upper classes. Due to the various types of radiation on the surface, the upper class people felt that living on the surface was too dangerous and their lifespans were extremely short. Therefore, they used the power of the entire country to create the City of Steel. Nowadays, the slave community was surrounded by huge steel walls, and no one had ever gone out. Some people said that there were giant beasts outside the steel walls, beasts that not even the Decurion could deal with. There were also people who said that the radiation outside the steel wall was very serious. Once people went out, they would be exposed to radiation and die very miserably. Now, everyone here lived in the crowded slave community. All kinds of minerals and raw materials could be produced here, but food and water could not be produced. This was because food and water were controlled by the upper classes. After everyone earned energy points, they could buy food and water from the supermarkets controlled by the upper classes, as well as daily necessities. Now, Wang Zhong was 3 years old. However, he was not sent to school. Instead, he followed his mother to the refinery to learn about all kinds of minerals. Although this planet was very polluted, and there was a strong smell of diesel in the air, it was rich in minerals. In particular, there was a mineral called crystal in this world. It was said to have extremely high energy. This was the key energy source to drive robots and even some floating spaceships. The refinery where his mother worked was very big. She and a group of female workers were responsible for picking up the good types of minerals and throwing them on the assembly line every day. The work was very simple. They had to work more than 10 hours a day, so it was very tiring. When Wang Zhong was 6 years old, his big brother, Ah was already 13 years old. Although he was young, he was already very strong. On the day of Ahei's 13th birthday, his father, Ran, carefully took out an iron box and said to Ahei, "Happy birthday, son. In the future, you will be a real man. You have the responsibility of taking care of your family on your shoulders. Dad is very pleased. Come, this is a birthday gift for you. Thank you, Dad. Ah-Hey was very happy because this was the first time his father had given him a gift since he was young. What made him even happier was that he had become an adult, a real man. When he opened the box, he was surprised to find a navy blue protective suit inside. There was a line of words written on it: simple anti-poison suit, special for miners. Mining was a very dangerous job because the mines were usually located in the periphery of the community. There was radiation, poisonous gas, and even all kinds of poisonous insects and snakes there. With a protective suit, one's life would be very safe. But at the same time, protective suits were also very expensive. Many poor families were not willing to buy them at all. The protective suit that was given to Ah-Hey this time was worth 3,000 energy points. It could be imagined that Iran was really ruthless to reward Ah-Hey with something good. One had to know that he usually wore second-hand protective suits. Not to mention the holes on it, the protective ability was also very weak. Thank you, Father. Ah-Hey took the protective suit very sensibly. Children who grew up in a slave community generally understood quickly. He knew that taking this protective suit meant that he would be a miner in the future. In a few years, after he saved some energy points, it meant that he would be able to marry and have children. He was very happy that he would have his own family in the future. He held the protective suit tightly and rubbed Wang Zhong's head happily. Brother, your brother is now a miner. After I get my salary this month, I will buy you a piece of beef to eat. The most commonly eaten meat here was synthetic meat. It was said that it was the meat left behind by the upper class of the Steel City and then mixed with flour and other additives to synthesize it. Although there was a bit of a meaty taste, it was not delicious and had a rancid taste. However, synthetic meat had the advantage of being cheap. Therefore, many families would still choose to buy the cheaper synthetic meat in front of authentic beef. Thank you, brother, but you have to be careful when you go mining. Wang Zhong said in a childish voice. At this time, he was also very helpless. This world was too strange. Whether it was the way of life or the various things he had seen before, they were all things he had never seen before. Therefore, if he wanted to survive well here, he was afraid that he could not do much with the body of a child at present. Suddenly, the cry of the neighbor, little Zhang's family, came from outside. Child's father, why did you leave? Sob, sob, sob. What should we do if you leave? Child's father. Isn't this the voice of little Zhang's wife? Du Meili quickly opened the door. The neighbor next door, little Zhang, was in his early 20s. It was said that he had only married his wife the year before last. Originally, this slave couple had a good life. Just like Wang Zhong's family, the man was a miner and the woman started working in the refinery. The family was harmonious and beautiful. In the past 2 years, little Zhang's wife had to take care of the child, so she could only stay at home. However, she did not expect that little Zhang would have an accident before the child was 3 years old. Wang Zhong hurried out with his parents. What he saw was a corpse covered with a white cloth and being pulled by a corpse cart. The white cloth was stained with bright red blood. When the wind blew, the white cloth was lifted. Inside was a corpse whose head was smashed out of shape. Child's father, sob, sob. What if you die? Little Zhang's wife cried in pain. Her son stood timidly by the side, looking at the corpse blankly. He did not know what had happened. In this place, the death of a pillar meant the destruction of a family. Because once the pillar died, it meant that there was no income. Little Zhang's wife still had to take care of a child. In this society where energy was needed everywhere but there was no welfare, no income meant that one would starve to death. Of course, there was another option. Little Zhang's wife was a little beautiful. She could be the concubine of other slave captains or the concubine of other ordinary slaves. Slave captains were equivalent to contractors. They were usually in charge of mining in an area. Their status was higher than the slaves at the lowest level. After all, they had a higher income. It was every woman's dream to be a slave captain. However, it was very difficult. Every slave captain was stingy. They did not want to raise another woman, unless the woman was very beautiful. Therefore, although little Zhang's wife was a little beautiful, it was difficult for any slave to take her in with a son. Beep. The Decurion who came with the corpse cart scanned little Zhang's electronic bracelet and said coldly, "Slave Zhang Bing, confirmed dead." According to Article 869 of the slave community, a slave who died in an accident in the mining area will be given a pension of 1,000 energy points and a salary of 2,980 energy points. After calculating the energy points, the Decurion took back little Zhang's electronic bracelet and left with the corpse cart. "Dad, a miner died, and they only gave 1,000 energy points? That's so little?" Wang Zhong was stunned. Aren did not find it strange that Wang Zhong knew mathematics. In his opinion, his son had been smart since he was young. He sighed and said, "This is a slave city. Son, you have to strive to be a slave captain in the future. You have to contract work yourself. Only then will you not have to work in the mining area." "I know." The next day, little Zhang's wife carried her child on her back and pushed the cart to transport little Zhang's body to the mass grave outside the slave community. Slaves were very pitiful. They could not even afford a funeral. Usually, when a slave died, they would be transported to a large sinkhole outside the slave community. This was originally an abandoned mine. The minerals had dried up, and there was no one there. Now, it had become a mass grave. All the corpses were thrown down. Chapter 701. Wang Zhong did not know what happened to Lil Zhang's wife and her family. He only heard that Lil Zhang's wife was now living with an old man. In the days that followed, Wang Zhong followed his mother to the refinery every day. There were many types of ores in the refinery. Wang Zhong learned a lot about ores under the influence of what he saw. The most valuable ores were crystal ores, which were considered energy ores. All kinds of machinery nowadays relied on crystal ores to run. It was said that a piece of crystal weighing 50 kilograms could provide a month's worth of electricity for the slave community. One could imagine how much energy this crystal had. The second most valuable ore was obsidian. This type of obsidian was said to be used to make metal ores that were harder than iron. Even the Decurion's hardness could not compare to obsidian. When Wang Zhong was 9 years old, he was already very familiar with ores. Naturally, he had already taken on the same job as his mother. Every day, he would diligently work on the assembly line like a machine, picking up high-quality ores. However, during this year, something happened to Ah-Hei. As usual, Ah-Hei and his team went to the depths of the underground to mine. This time, he chose to go deeper because it was said that crystal ores were found there. According to the rules of the mining area, a crystal or the size of a finger was worth 1,000 energy points. It could be said that it was very valuable. However, crystal ores were usually found deep underground. Not only was it dark, but there were also poisonous insects and gas. The death rate was very high. Ah-Hei was very brave. He took advantage of his good protective suit and went inside. He had a belief that he would be rich when he returned home after digging a big crystal ore. Then, he could become the leader of the slave community and take care of his own work. However, he did not expect that the elevator shaft would suddenly collapse when it reached the bottom. Ah-Hei and his team were all crushed to death inside. Son. As Ah-Hei died underground, his body could not be taken out. Therefore, the Decurion came and only returned some of Ah-Hei's belongings. Beep. Slave Ah-Hei has been confirmed dead. According to Article 869 of the slave community, a slave who died in an accident in the mining area will be given a pension of 1,000 energy points. In addition, he will be given a salary of 4,390 energy points. The Decurion returned the belongings coldly and left with the corpse cart. There were still many corpses on the cart that needed to be sent away. Son. Du Meili cried sadly. Aren was smoking cheap cigarettes at the side. He shook his head and sighed. That night, Aren poured some black wine for Wang Zhong for the first time. Dark wine was a very cheap kind of wine here. It was a bit like whiskey and had a lot of alcohol. Ah-Bai, your brother is dead. You must remember his lesson in the future. No matter what you do, you must first ensure your own safety. Aren took a puff of his cigarette and exhaled a thick cloud of smoke. Then, he coughed violently a few times. The reason why I can survive again and again is because I'm not greedy. In the past, I've been with some teams, and I don't know how many people have died. Some people encountered poisonous gas when they wanted to dig a few more stones. Some people were greedy and wanted to go deeper, but they encountered a landslide. These people all died for no reason, but I'm the only one who can safely and steadily mine in a safe place. Although I don't earn much, it's safe. I know, Dad. Wang Zhong sighed and looked at the place where Ahei used to sit. No one would sit there anymore. There's one more thing I want to tell you. Aren might have drunk a little too much. He said in a low voice, "Do you know why our family doesn't have a surname?" "Dad, isn't the word our surname?" "Silly child, how can the word be our surname? Then why are we called Wang Zhong was very puzzled. Hearing this, Aren was silent for a moment. He walked to the window and closed it tightly. "Son, I originally wanted to wait for you to grow up to tell me this secret, but your brother is already dead. When you grow up in the future, there are some things you should know. Actually, our original surname is Aren." At this time, his mother, Du Meili, strode out. "You must be drunk. What nonsense are you talking to your son? I didn't. Tidy up and go to sleep. You still have to work early tomorrow." Got it. Aren went to rest drunkenly. Wang Zhong was very strange. What did his father want to say? Why did he stop halfway? After that, he pestered his mother to ask, but unfortunately, his mother was unwilling to say anything. Finally, when he was 11 years old, Wang Zhong grew up healthily. Now, he had become a young man with thick arms, just like Ahei. This year, something happened to his mother. The refinery received a batch of ores. Unexpectedly, this batch of ores contained intense unknown toxins. Because his mother came into contact with these toxins when she was working, it caused her to be poisoned. Although she didn't die, his mother was somewhat paralyzed later on. She could no longer go to work. Since then, the family's income had decreased by a large amount. Every time he saw his mother staggering, his father, Aren, would often shake his head and sigh. At this time, Wang Zhong thought of a way. His mother's body was not impossible to recover. She just needed to exercise regularly. With his previous medical knowledge, Wang Zhong used his time at home to design a wheelchair and rehabilitation equipment so that his mother could exercise regularly. A year later, Du Meili could barely walk. One had to know that a paralyzed person was a great burden on the family. Now that his mother could at least take care of herself, Aren was very gratified. In the blink of an eye, it was Wang Zhong's 12th birthday. On this day, a major event broke out in the slave community. The rebel army had appeared. The rebel army seized 5 mining areas in one fell swoop. In the mining areas, the Steel City superiors did not dare to use airplanes and cannons to bomb them. This was because if they bombed, the entire mining area would be reduced to ruins, and it would be impossible to mine again. To the superiors, ores were the most valuable thing, so they would not allow such a thing to happen. Now, it was said that the Decanus Legion had surrounded the 5 mining areas and was only waiting for orders from the superiors. Because there was a war there, Aren did not go mining. He could only stay at home every day and sigh. This group of rebel army is really a headache. I can't beat them, so what are they doing occupying the mining areas? I can't even work because of them. At night, Aren drank wine and cursed. Wang Zhong was chewing peanuts at the side. In fact, he did not agree with his father's words. As slaves, they were exploited like this. If they did not resist, would their future generations be exploited? If they did not resist, how could they live a good life? Beep. At this time, the alarm in their campsite sounded. Rebel army drones discovered. The Decanus Legion's cold voice resounded throughout the campsite. Chapter 702. Hearing the sirens outside, Ren turned pale with fright. He immediately rushed to the window and shouted at Wang Zhong, "Son, get down quickly." Once a battle broke out outside, bullets would not have eyes, so it was safer to lie down now. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. There seemed to be the sound of anti-aircraft artillery being launched outside, and a large fireball lit up the sky. As the fireball dispersed, pieces of white paper floated down. The rebel drones have been cleared. It was quiet outside. Wang Zhong noticed that several pieces of paper had floated to their door. He quietly opened the door and sneaked in a piece of paper. On the paper was written how brutal the rule of the superiors was. The rebel army called on everyone to overthrow the rule of the superiors and coexist peacefully with them. At present, the rebel army had occupied 5 mining areas and was in the midst of intense negotiations with the superiors. The rebel army demanded that the superiors give them resources and a chance to coexist peacefully. Otherwise, they would blow up these mining areas. These flyers were now distributed in the hope that ordinary people would support the rebel army and fight against the rule of the superiors. Unfortunately, after reading the content, Ren tore the paper into pieces and threw it out. "Bye, there's no need to read these things," Ren said lightly. "Dad, are we really not going to try to resist?" Wang Zhong asked. Ren's expression was ugly. "The rebel army's resistance is destined to fail." "Why do you say that? Do you think this is the first time the rebel army has launched an attack? For as long as I can remember, this attack has been launched countless times. The most serious attack was when the rebel army found a way to control the Decurion. The rebel army used the Decurion to occupy all the mining areas. But so what? Later, Steel City sent a Centurion. A Centurion? Wang Zhong's eyes narrowed. Yes, a Centurion is a stronger robot than a Decurion. A Centurion can aim at 100 objects at the same time. At that time, the rebel army did not understand the Centurion at all. They ordered the Decurion to attack, but in the end, all the Decurion were killed. With the rebel army in the mines, the superiors from Steel City should not dare to attack, right? When the Decanus Corps was taken care of, the upper class didn't dare to attack. But later, they released the poison gas in the middle of the night. All the resistance army inside and outside were poisoned to death. I can't believe it. Wang Zhong stared at his father and asked, "Dad, how do you know all this?" "Because I was once a member of the resistance." Ren let out a long sigh. "That year, I didn't know your mother yet. I was only 17 years old. I was in the prime of my life. At that time, your grandfather bought a new protective suit. I didn't expect him to be smashed to death in the mine. I inherited that protective suit. At that time, a spy in the resistance army found me. I joined because they said that they could control the Decurion. I just didn't expect that there would be a stronger Centurion among the upper-class people. Later, the poisonous gas came. I relied on your grandfather's protective suit to survive. I hid in the pit for a long time. Then, I went through a small path and sneaked out. I was very lucky. I wasn't discovered." After saying that, his father looked at Wang Zhong and said, "It's because I've experienced all this that I remember. The power of the upper-class people is beyond our imagination. It's too difficult to deal with them." His father fell into a deep sleep. Wang Zhong walked to the window and could vaguely see the flames in the mines occupied by the resistance army. "I hope the resistance army can win," Wang Zhong thought to himself. He didn't understand this world. He was still young and couldn't help much. For the next 10 days, there were Decurions on the streets heading to the mines to provide support. There were also rumors from the front lines that the resistance army had a weapon called an electronic pulse. The attack from this weapon had no effect on humans, but it could instantly stop the operation of mechanical equipment. It was said that the Decurions suffered heavy losses at the front lines. Many of them had stopped operating. Wang Zhong was very happy. Some of the wavering people in the slave communities were even discussing an uprising. "Dad, let's do it too. Let's go support the resistance army." Now that the resistance army in the mines had subdued hundreds of Decurions, many of Aren's teammates came over to discuss the operation together. Although they didn't have any weapons, as miners, they were very familiar with the terrain of the mines. They could bring some supplies deep into the mines. Hearing this, Aren shook his head. The Centurion army hasn't arrived yet. Let's wait a little longer. Wang Zhong nodded helplessly. He thought that he could discuss it with the others. However, on the second day, before Wang Zhong could go, a group of even more muscular robots appeared on the streets. These robots had more weapons and equipment. Under their huge bodies, their legs were extremely slender, which meant that these robots were more agile. Centurion. The Centurion army is here. Some people who recognized the Centurion were shocked. The people who originally wanted to support the resistance army instantly retreated. Wang Zhong also thought about observing the situation for a while longer. That day, intense gunfire could be heard from the mines. 3 days later, the gunfire became weaker and weaker. On the 4th day, the staff at the mines came over and informed his father that he could go to work. They also said that because of the influence of the resistance army, the mine's output was much lower. If they couldn't meet the requirements of Steel City this month, they would be in big trouble, so they asked for overtime. Boss Wu, that mine is so cold at night. There's no light, so there's no way to dig. Even if we work for a day and night, we won't have the strength the next day. Aran said helplessly. I know. Isn't there light and protective clothing subsidies from above? As long as we work for 3 days, we'll get 2 protective clothing. Is that so? Aran was tempted. Next year, Wang Zhong would be working in the mines. He was also prepared to buy a set of protective clothing at the end of the year. If he worked for 3 days, he would get 2 sets of protective clothing. Let's do it. Aran made a prompt decision. Alright, Boss Wu, I'll take this job. Boss Wu was a small contractor in the mines. Aran worked in his team a lot, and Boss Wu had come a few times before. After finalizing the deal, Aran slept that day and went out at night. This time, he was gone for 3 days. During these 3 days, Wang Zhong did not go to the factory. Because there was no ore production, the refinery was temporarily suspended. He went to the mines to see how the battle was going. There were also many people who went there because the battle there had already ended. The mine was huge, but it was easy to see hobgoblins being pushed together by giant forklifts before being tossed into giant hopper wagons by excavators. It was obvious that these hobgoblins had been scrapped and were no longer of any use. The Centurions were guarding the mines now, and every Centurion was more powerful. They scanned the surroundings with infrared eyes. Once someone made a move, these Centurions would not hesitate to attack. At this time, a giant airship landed on the ground. These scrapped Decurions and various mechanical equipment were all dragged into the airship and sent to the Steel City in the sky. In addition to these scraps, corpses were also pulled out from the mines. These corpses were not wearing the clothes of the slave community. They were mostly rags. How pitiful. I really don't know where these rebels usually live. Someone shook his head and sighed. I heard that they live outside the walls. That can't be. Isn't there radiation outside the walls? That's hard to say. The last time I worked beside the walls, I heard birds chirping outside. If there really is radiation, why would there be other creatures chirping? Could it be monsters? Who knows? Listening to these people talk, Wang Zhong became more and more curious about the outside world. It would be great if I could get to know the rebels. Wang Zhong muttered to himself. Suddenly, his heart skipped a beat. That's right. Would there be any problem with those scraps? Chapter 703. Wang Zhong's eyes lit up as he thought of a very important point. There was so much scrap metal, and these stupid robots had just pushed it all onto the airships without even checking. These airships were obviously headed for Steel City, so was it possible that someone was hiding in the pile of scrap metal? The more Wang Zhong thought about it, the more excited he became. He left. His top priority was to find the rebel army and understand the situation inside. But there was another problem. With his current identity as a child, even if he met the rebel army, they would probably ignore him. This was the reality. It seems that I need to establish my own force. Even if I can't find the rebel army, I am confident that I can go to Steel City myself. Looking at the huge city in the sky, Wang Zhong made up his mind. 3 days passed quickly. At night, Wang Zhong and his mother, Du Meili, were preparing a table full of delicious dishes to celebrate Ren's return. Unexpectedly, instead of Ren, they received bad news. Something happened to Ren. During the day, Ren and his workmates were digging a crystal vein when they suddenly encountered poisonous gas. All of them died. What? Du Meili almost collapsed to the ground. Du Meili, don't be so agitated. I don't know how this happened either. Boss Wu frowned. The bodies have already been sent over by the corpse transport vehicle. I'm sorry. Wu, my husband was clearly wearing a protective suit. How could he have been poisoned to death? Suddenly, Du Meili pulled Wu Qiming's arm and cried. Wu Qiming frowned. How would I know? The poisonous gas was very strong. Was it because he wasn't wearing a protective suit? How could that be? I was the one who issued the new protective suits. Wu Qiming's expression changed. Then how could he have died? This is impossible. Maybe the protective suit was broken. Everyone's protective suits are broken. Wu, are you talking nonsense? Du Meili's grip on Wu Qiming's arm became heavier as she questioned him sternly. F***CK, did I give you face? All of a sudden, Wu Qiming flung Du Meili's arm away and slapped her hard on the face. Mom. Wang Zhong's expression changed. He hurriedly helped Du Meili up and rushed over to beat Wu Qiming. Brat, do you want to die too? Wu Qiming had really shed all pretense of cordiality. As soon as he finished speaking, several of his hired thugs rushed over. Wang Zhong was just about to make a move when an alarm sounded from afar. According to the 24 rules of the slave community, fighting is illegal. The punishment is a broken arm. You have 30 seconds to stop fighting. A cold voice sounded. It was the terrifying voice of the Decurion. At the same time, Wang Zhong realized that a red was aiming at his left arm. It was obvious that the weapon on the Decurion's shoulder was aiming at an infrared ray. Red dots also appeared on the shoulders of Wu Qiming and his thugs, causing both sides to quickly calm down. Although the slave community was cruel, there was one advantage, and that was that the law was absolutely fair. This was because the ones who judged the law were robots. Although these robots were unreasonable, it was also because of this that they treated everyone equally regardless of their background. Wu Qiming snorted coldly and retreated obediently. He did not want his arm to be shot. At this moment, Wang Zhong kicked Wu Qiming's crotch. Wu Qiming howled in pain and retreated while holding his leg. Brat, how dare you hit me? You're asking for death. Wang Zhong sneered. He had calculated the time. The Decurion had set the rule that they had 30 seconds to stop fighting. He had only kicked for about 20 seconds, so it was not a problem at all. As expected, the Decurion did not say anything. However, after 30 seconds, the Decurion's infrared ray eyes suddenly lit up. His eerie eyes scanned the group of people who were about to fight with Wang Zhong. Those who are fighting, leave immediately in 3 minutes. The cold voice continued. Brat, remember this. Wu Qiming held his leg and pointed at Wang Zhong. You're dead meat. I'll be waiting. At this time, Wang Zhong was not going to hold back anymore. After all, he would be punished by the Decurion if he killed or fought here. He was not afraid of revenge. This time, he planned to join another slave leader and start working in the mines. He would start as a miner and become a slave leader before developing his own force. To be honest, it was too difficult to develop his force under such circumstances. However, if the rebel army could develop, he would definitely be able to do so too. After Wu Qiming left, the people around him came over to ask about his well-being. This made Wang Zhong's heart feel warm. Although everyone did not have a good life, they would still show some concern. "Are you okay, Abai?" A middle-aged man walked over quietly. Wang Zhong recognized this person. He used to be in the same mining team as his father. "I'm fine, Uncle Nyo. My body is strong. However, this Wu Qiming is really a jerk. My father has been with him for so many years, and he dares to treat our family like this," Wang Zhong said angrily. Du Meili sat on the ground as if she had lost her soul. Some of the women around her comforted her. Uncle Nyo pulled Wang Zhong aside and sighed. "Abai, there are some things that I shouldn't tell you. However, you are now the pillar of the family. You should know." "Uncle Nyo, just tell me. What is it?" "Your father's death is not that simple." "I knew it." Hearing this, Wang Zhong narrowed his eyes. Wu Qiming's behavior just now was really strange. It was as if he was deliberately hiding something. "Uncle Nyo, do you know something?" "Actually, many people in the mine know about this matter. This time, Steel City requested to increase the mine's output. In order to speed up, the person in charge of mine number 6 requested to enter a dangerous area. Your father did not agree at first, but in the end... In the end what? Wu Qiming wanted to please the person in charge, so he beat your father to death." Wu Qiming. Wang Zhong clenched his teeth. He knew something was wrong. If something had really happened, Wu Qiming would have come with some of his team members. However, this time, only he and a few thugs came. Clearly, those team members had been ordered to keep their mouths shut. However, Wu Qiming had gone too far this time, so Uncle Nyo had secretly told Wang Zhong. "Abai, Wu Qiming won't let you off. Don't work for him in the future. Be careful." "Don't worry, Uncle Nyo. I know what I'm doing." Wang Zhong nodded. In fact, he already had a choice in his heart. In this slave community, there were actually many forces both in the open and in the dark. At the top of the pyramid was naturally Steel City. They controlled all the Decurions, airships, drones, and the Centurion Corps. They were so powerful that no one dared to disobey them. Below them, there was a surging undercurrent. The most eye-catching was the representative of Steel City, who was also the person in charge of the entire mine. This person was very mysterious, but those who knew him knew that he was also a slave. The uppers were very smart. They knew that in order to better squeeze out the potential of every slave, the best way was not to suppress them, but to manage their own kind. This way, the slaves could be divided internally. The slaves could not be tied together, so they would naturally be obedient. This person in charge was the representative of the uppers and controlled all aspects of the slave community. Under the person in charge were the officers of the various departments. For example, those in charge of mining in the mine, those in charge of the energy point management, those in charge of the Decurions mechanical maintenance department, those in charge of logistics management, and those in charge of the safety of the slave community. There were many departments, and under these many departments, there were many smaller departments. For example, there were dozens of big and small areas in the mine, which were represented by numbers. Mine 1, Mine 2. In addition, the slave community was divided into several communities. Just like a village, each slave community had a different person in charge. These were the official forces of the slave community. Below that were some forces in the gray area. The most prominent were the contractors of the mine. Wu Qiming was considered the lowest level of contractor. These contractors were equivalent to labor contractors, and they were in charge of contracting certain areas of the mine. The biggest advantage of contracting work was that they could earn a lot of energy points. With energy points, these contractors were rich and powerful, and they could organize their own forces. Although they did not dare to go against the official organizations, they could at least make some of the mine managers look at them differently. After all, if these contractors wanted to cause trouble, it would give the managers a headache. This was mainly because the uppers had a material requirement for each mine. Every month, they had to give them a certain amount of ore. If the amount was less than this, the manager of the mine would be punished. If it was light, they would have their energy points deducted, and if it was heavy, they would even lose their heads. Because of this, the managers of the mine would try their best to get on good terms with these contractors. Everyone was mutually beneficial. These contractors were also known as slave captains, and they were equivalent to managing the order of the mine. The most famous contractor was Huang Jinda. It was said that he had tens of thousands of brothers under him. When the manager of the mine saw him, he was the kind of person who would hand him a cigarette. Next were slave captains like Chan Pingon, the Yi sisters, and One-Eyed Dragon. These captains had thousands of brothers under them, and some had hundreds. Basically, whenever a new ore vein was discovered, these slave captains would think of a way to contract it. What Wang Zhong wanted to join now was the Yi sisters organization. There were 3 reasons. First, the Yi sisters had recently discovered a crystal mine, and several miners had made a fortune there. Wang Zhong also wanted to try his luck. Second, the Yi sisters' power had been like a hot knife through butter, and they had become one of the 5 major contractors. As the saying goes, a big tree can enjoy the shade. Joining their organization would be beneficial. Third, Uncle Nyo had recently been working with the Yi sisters. He could give him some benefits and let him help introduce him. With these reasons, Wang Zhong decided to go there. That night, Wang Zhong spent more than 400 energy points to buy a big bag of beef and visited Uncle Nyo. Chapter 704. You want to join the Yi sisters? Uncle Nyo took a puff of the worst quality cigarette and glanced at the beef that Wang Zhong brought. He pushed it away and said without hesitation, "No way." "Why?" Wang Zhong was stunned. In his impression, Uncle Nyo was a very easygoing person with a good temper. Otherwise, he would not have reminded him to be careful of Wu Qiming. Logically speaking, Uncle Nyo would speak up for him. He did not expect Uncle Nyo to reject him. Uncle Nyo frowned and said, "This is for your own good." "Uncle Nyo, didn't you join the Yi sisters? I heard that you can earn more there." "You can earn more there, but the Yi sisters are weird. It's not good for a little boy like you to join them. Can you tell me more about it?" "Okay. It's not a secret in the mining team anyway. The eldest sister of the Yi sisters is nicknamed Fatty Yi. She's fatter than me and cruel. She also has a weird habit of toying with little boys like you." "What?" Wang Zhong was stunned. "How could that be?" "It's true. Everyone in the mining team knows that Fatty Yi is vicious and merciless. Moreover, she's extremely strong. Do you know why? One of her hands has been mechanically modified. Last time, a friend of mine saw it with his own eyes. She had 2 male pets serving her and making her uncomfortable, so she crushed their heads. The mechanical technology in this world was very mature, so there were many mechanical prosthetics. Some of the rich and powerful slave captains, or the people in charge of the districts, would choose to install mechanical prosthetics on themselves when their bodies were injured. No wonder 2 women can control such a big team." Wang Zhong was amazed. Of course. However, compared to Fatty Yi, her sister Skinny Yi is even scarier. Uncle Nyo could not help but shudder when he thought of how terrifying Skinny Yi was. "She's skinny?" "Yes, she's one of the Yi sisters. The elder sister is fat and the younger sister is skinny. You can even say that the younger sister is very good-looking, but she's really scary." "How scary?" Uncle Nyo took another puff of his cigarette and sighed. "Skinny Yi is the one who gives advice to my sister. He's like a military advisor. It's said that Skinny Yi is also a mechanic and knows how to modify some machines. Fatty Ye's arm was modified by her. That doesn't seem scary, does it?" Wang Zhong was puzzled. "That's just on the surface. It's said that Skinny Yi likes to study the human body. Those who are disobedient or died in mining accidents would be brought to her place for research. She would transform those people into various shapes. These strange people are called cyborgs. These people live a life worse than death. They rely on stimulants to survive. Otherwise, the pain would be unbearable. They have to mine for the Yi sisters. If they don't listen, Skinny Yi won't provide them with stimulants. Therefore, in order to get stimulants, these people have to mine every day. Because their bodies have been modified, they have great strength and their mining speed is also very fast. It can be said that in the mining team, the Yi sisters are the most efficient. Wang Zhong was secretly shocked when he heard this. In the past, he had heard his father talk about mechanics. It was said that before the Battle of the Black Curtain, this world was very advanced in machinery. Humans could modify their own limbs at will. Some crazy people even transplanted their brains into their bodies of steel. And the people who did this were mechanics. I didn't expect mechanics to exist in the slave community. Of course there are. However, most mechanics in the slave community mainly repair decurions or various machines. Women like Skinny Yi are very, very rare. As he said this, Uncle Nyo turned his head to look at Wang Zhong. So, if a young man like you were to go there and Fatty Yi took a fancy to you, you know what you would face. It would be a torture to your body. If you get injured, you might even be taken away by Skinny Yi for experiments. I still want to try. You're not afraid. Uncle Nyo, aren't you fine there? Wang Zhong said. I'm different. I'm ugly. Fatty Yi won't take a fancy to me. Besides, I have a dozen brothers there. Skinny Yi won't take the risk to touch our people. Uncle Nyo, then I'll follow you. Uncle Nyo put out the cigarette and said, You really want to do it? Yes, my mother can't work anymore. I need to earn energy points. All right. Uncle Nyo nodded. It's not impossible. When you go to work in the future, make your face darker. Just don't make it look too good. I got it. After finalizing the matter, Wang Zhong went back to tell his mother about it. However, he didn't mention much. He only said that it was safe to work there, and the most important thing was that Uncle Nyo would take care of him. 3 days later, Wang Zhong followed Uncle Nyo to sign up. From this day onwards, he began to work in the mine. Wang Zhong was the youngest here, but he was quite strong. Working with the adults, the productivity was quite good. After working here for a year, Wang Zhong saw the cyborgs here. It was said that these people didn't have any relatives at home. There were men and women, and their limbs were all modified into mechanical limbs. Their mining speed was indeed faster, but the technology didn't seem to be perfect. Once the effects of the stimulant wore off, these people would suffer unbearable pain. Wang Zhong also saw the Yi sisters from afar a few times. Fatty Yi was fat all over. She liked to wear a pair of dark sunglasses and keep her hair short. With every step she took, the fat all over her body would jiggle a few times. Skinny Yi basically followed behind Fatty Yi. This woman was indeed very beautiful. She wore a pair of gold-rimmed glasses and had an oval face. In this place where even lipstick was not sold, her lips were always dark red, like a noble fairy. However, people who knew this woman knew that she was no less dangerous than Fatty Yi. If Fatty Yi was said to be a brutal tank, then Skinny Yi was a cold and gloomy mechanic. She would always be in the corner and let you know what cruelty was. This year, Wang Zhong was already 15 years old. He was now the real pillar of the family. Every month he earned more energy points than the average slave. This wasn't to say that Wang Zhong was hardworking, but he knew that machinery was the key to increasing work efficiency. The mining team sometimes gave him electric picks and hammers. When he had nothing to do, he liked to take them apart and tinker with them, maintain them, add oil, and so on to increase the power of the machinery. He even got close to people who drove excavators to learn how to drive them. Because his tools were efficient and had a strong explosive power, he was always able to mine quickly. On this day, Wang Zhong officially applied to drive an excavator. Among the slaves, technical jobs were very popular. For example, driving an excavator would earn 50% more energy points than an ordinary miner. Driving an excavator was also very labor-saving and the working time was also short. However, if you want to drive an excavator, you must have some mechanical knowledge. This required a driver to teach you. Fortunately, Wang Zhong liked to secretly learn from time to time. In addition to his knowledge of modern society in his previous life, he knew how to drive an excavator. Therefore, Wang Zhong went to find Chen Xiqing, the head of the Human Resources Department under the Yi sisters. Chen Xiqing was in charge of some personnel deployment and had some authority. He couldn't help but mock Wang Zhong for wanting to drive an excavator. "You've never driven an excavator before, right? You want to drive one? No way. Brother Chen, I know how to drive one. Please let me try." Wang Zhong inadvertently gave Chen Xiqing 2,000 energy points. This was the salary card given to miners. The electronic bracelet scanned this card and collected the energy points inside. Seeing the card, Chen Xiqing coughed and asked, "You really know how to drive one? If you don't, I don't want this card. I'll give it to you. Please let me try." "Okay then." Chen Xiqing felt that this wasn't a loss. If this kid didn't know how to drive one, then he didn't need to return the energy points. If he knew how to drive one, then he could get more benefits in the future. "I'll let you try." Soon, they arrived at the mining area. Wang Zhong started the excavator and started mining. His technique wasn't exquisite, but he worked steadily. Soon, a large piece of rock was dug out. "And not bad. You can do that for now." Chen Xiqing finished speaking and left. From this day onwards, Wang Zhong became the glorious excavator master here. However, Wang Zhong wasn't satisfied with this. His goal was to seize power and find a way to leave this place and go to Steel City. While operating the excavator, Wang Zhong suddenly felt that something was wrong, because a human face seemed to appear on the computer in the excavator's cab. Beep beep. Beep beep. However, after the screen blurred for a moment, it returned to normal. "Strange," Wang Zhong muttered. He didn't understand what was going on. There was a big difference between the excavators of this era and modern ones. Not only were the excavators huge, but they were also intelligent. For example, modern excavators were controlled manually, while the excavators of this era were controlled by sliding the screen. The driver only needed to simulate the excavation on the screen. Moreover, the excavators here were both automated and manual. Manual meant that they needed to be controlled by humans. Automated because these machines were all connected to the slave community's optical computer. The optical computer was an intelligent computer that controlled all aspects of the slave community. For example, power transmission, transport vehicles, and drone control were all done using the optical computer. What surprised Wang Zhong was that every time he started work, a human face would appear on the screen in the cab. This face was very blurry and disappeared after a few flashes. He thought that it was a procedural problem and didn't care about it. Now, he was preparing to contract the Yi sisters' small mine and become a secondary contractor. The secondary contractor was a contractor like Wu Qiming. Wang Zhong now had excellent driving skills and a certain amount of experience in repairing various small machines. He also had good interpersonal relationships. Now, the main thing was how to contract with the Yi sisters. Wang Zhong directly told Chen Xiqing of the Human Resources Department about this matter, hoping that Chen Xiqing could help recommend him. "Recommend? Sure, but in the future, I'll split half of what you earn," Chen Xiqing said greedily. Chapter 705. Wang Zhong knew that Chen Xiqing was greedy, but he did not expect that this guy would be greedy to this extent. Directly giving him half, why didn't he just rob? "Brother Chen, I just want to do some small work. There's no need to ask for so much, right?" Wang Zhong said. "Then there's no other way. You can only do this. If you don't give it to me, don't even think about operating an excavator in the future," Chen Xiqing said coldly as he grasped Wang Zhong's weakness. Recently, Chen Xiqing had lost a lot of energy points and embezzled some miners' energy points. In order to fill these gaps, he had to make money. Wang Zhong, in his eyes, was just a young man who was easy to control and honest. He would not dare to resist. "So, what do you think?" "Abai, it's not easy for you to do this. You have to be smart." "Brother Chen, what do you want so many energy points for? If Sister Yi finds out that you stole these energy points, it will be troublesome." Wang Zhong reminded him. Humph, if you don't say it, neither do we. Who will know? Chan Xiqing said indifferently. You're not afraid that I'll tell on you? Wang Zhong said. Ha ha ha, do you have evidence? You have no proof. Why would Sister Yi believe you? To be honest, with Sister Ye's brain, the person she trusts the most is me. Do you know why? Because I can manage human resources for her. Otherwise, why do you think I can sit in this position for so long? I see. Wang Zhong smiled and turned to leave. Bye, what do you mean? Chen Xiqing was very dissatisfied with Wang Zhong's sudden departure. Wang Zhong paused for a moment, before turning his head and saying, Nothing. What do you think of my conditions? I don't agree. Good boy, just you wait. Chen Xiqing was very angry at Wang Zhong's lack of tact and swore to deal with him. After Wang Zhong came out, he went straight to the corner of the mine office and took out a small tool from his pocket. It was a tape recorder. In the slave camp, tape recorders were considered a luxury of the upper class. Wang Zhong also gritted his teeth to buy it, and it was a second-hand one. Chen Xiqing's words were repeated verbatim after the button was pressed. Chen Xiqing, you're out of luck. Wang Zhong sneered. This time, due to a freak combination of factors, he might not be a contractor anymore. Instead, he would be the manager of the HR department. Move, don't block Sister Ye's way. That afternoon, as usual, the Yi sisters came to the mine for an inspection. One of them was wearing chubby clothes. Fatty Ye's mechanical right arm was holding a big pig leg, munching on it as he walked. Skinny Yi walked at the back and scanned every miner with his sharp eyes. Wang Zhong noticed that behind Skinny Yi, there was a woman with a human head and a mechanical body. This was the bodyguard of the Yi sisters. Everyone called her half-human monster. This half-human monster was said to be an obedient bodyguard developed by Skinny Yi in his early years. It had powerful mechanical limbs and carried an axe and a machete on its back. Wherever the Yi sisters went, this half-human monster would follow. Wang Zhong immediately jumped down from the excavator and walked towards the Yi sisters. At this moment, the person in charge of the mine was explaining the situation to the Yi sisters. Suddenly, he saw Wang Zhong coming over. He hurriedly shouted, You brat, why aren't you driving the excavator? What are you doing here? I have something to tell Sister Yi. Wang Zhong said in a low voice with a serious expression. This was because he discovered that the half-human monster had already rushed in front of him, its sharp machete pressed against his neck, releasing a hoarse and slightly ear-piercing metallic voice. Take another step forward, and I will kill you. Back off. At this moment, Skinny Yi spoke. Receiving the order, the half-human monster obediently retreated. Brat, do you know the consequences of blocking the way? Fatty Yi shouted. Big sister, second sister, I have something to report. Today, I'm going to the HR department to see Chen Xiqing. Wang Zhong explained the situation and then played the recording. Chen Xiqing's voice could be heard. The Yi sisters' faces became gloomier, especially Fatty Yi. Chen Xiqing, do you think I'm a fool? After he was done, Wang Zhong said solemnly, Big sister, second sister, I was very angry after hearing this. This Chen Xiqing doesn't even put you in his eyes. Therefore, I gathered my courage to come and report this to you. You did well. Fatty Yi nodded. Wang Zhong was happy, but Skinny Ye's words made Wang Zhong's heart sink. Skinny Yi said coldly, I'm afraid this is not a report, but a complaint. Normal people, who would spend so much money to buy a VCR to record? Wang Zhong secretly thought that this Skinny Yi was just like the rumors. He was shrewd and calculating, and not easy to talk to. Fortunately, Wang Zhong was not someone without a solution. He said calmly, Indeed, I did this because I had already offended Chen Xiqing. If I didn't do this, I would have been done in by him sooner or later. So this is the only way. Good. Come with us. The Yi sisters turned around and boarded an armored car with tires that were taller than a person. Wang Zhong got in and sat together with the half-human monster. At such a close distance, Wang Zhong could smell the faint smell of blood on the half-human monster. This meant that the half-human monster had killed many people. The machete on the half-human monster's back was stained with dried blood. "You seem very nervous," Skinny Yi in the front passenger seat said lightly. Yes. Actually, Wang Zhong was not nervous at all. The reason why he said that was on purpose. He did not want to look too calm and make others suspicious. "Don't be nervous, kid. What's your name?" Fatty Yi seemed to be interested in Wang Zhong and said lightly, Bai. Ha ha ha, that's the same name as one of my boy pets." "Is that so? Do you know how he is now?" "I don't know. He didn't know how to take care of people, so I cut him." Cut. Wang Zhong was even more frightened now. Of course, he knew what that meant. "Don't be afraid." Seeing Wang Zhong's frightened look, Fatty Yi was very pleased. He continued, "Don't worry, with your dark appearance, I won't take a fancy to you." Working for Fatty Yi, many young men would make themselves dark. They were worried that Fatty Yi would take a fancy to them and make them his boy pets. Soon, they arrived at Chen Xiqing's place. Chen Xiqing was playing cards with a group of people. They were playing 28 by 8. This group of people were all small contractors and had some spare cash on hand. Chen Xiqing lost a lot of money today. He was so angry that he cursed loudly. Bang! At this time, the door was kicked open. "Mother Kerr, who's blind enough to kick my door?" Chen Xiqing turned his head and was stunned. Big sister." As Wang Zhong followed behind Fatty Yi, an ominous premonition arose within him. "Big sister, why are you here?" Chapter 706. Big sister, why are you here? Chen Xiqing swallowed his saliva. Everyone had a sixth sense. He felt that the atmosphere today was not good. The group of people playing cards quickly leaned against the wall, not even daring to breathe. "Chen Xiqing, let me ask you. What can't a man be hard on?" Fatty Yi asked calmly. I'm too stupid. I don't know." Bang! Fatty Yi suddenly grabbed Chen Xiqing's neck. "Let me tell you, it's your wings. Now that your wings have hardened, you don't even care about me anymore, right?" The metallic arm squeezed Chen Xiqing's neck tightly, forcing him to speak. "BBB sister, I didn't." Still quibbling. "I hate people who quibble the most. This Bai has already said what you said. He's talking nonsense. I heard everything and you're still quibbling. Everyone else, get out." The group of people hurried out. As for Wang Zhong, he had also left under the threat of the half-human monster. To Wang Zhong's surprise, Skinny Yi also walked out and smoked calmly. Wang Zhong stood behind Skinny Yi. Looking at her enchanting appearance, he wondered if he should go over to say hello and recommend himself. Chen Xiqing was definitely not going to survive. There was a vacancy in the Human Resources Department, and he had a chance. "Did you enjoy looking at me? I'm very good looking, right?" Unexpectedly, before Wang Zhong even went over, Skinny Yi suddenly spoke. Wang Zhong was stunned. He subconsciously looked at the half-human monster staring at him. He instantly understood. This half-human monster's eyes were probably similar to a surveillance camera. Even if Skinny Yi did not look back, she could still see the others through the monster's eyes. This woman was too scary. Wang Zhong's heart tightened. Fortunately, he did not act recklessly just now. He took a deep breath and said calmly, "Of course, second sister is good-looking." You're the fourth person to say that. Guess what happened to the first three? You don't know? They were all chopped up by my sister. But don't worry, we sisters are fair in our rewards and punishments. You just made a great contribution, we won't touch you. Thank you for your kindness, second sister." Wang Zhong said reluctantly in his heart. Thinking that he could strike while the iron was hot, he said, "Second sister, the position of the personnel department is vacant now. I boldly recommend myself to be qualified for the position. What makes you say that? Based on my familiarity with mine affairs, based on my familiarity with mine personnel, based on my mechanical knowledge. Wang Zhong finished speaking in a single breath. Skinny Yi laughed. Seems like you are still a talent. You flatter me. You actually dare to recommend yourself to me at such a young age. If you continue to grow, you will be incredible. I just want to earn more. Are you sure you can do it? I promise. Just making a promise is useless. If you can't produce any outstanding results, I won't let you take the position. After all, you're too young. Even if you know these things very well, so what? If you can't convince the masses, those workers, and even the person in charge, won't care about you. Skinny Ye's words were not wrong. Wang Zhong already had an excuse for this. He quickly said, I know you don't believe that I can do it well. How about this? Let me do it for a while. If I can't do it well, then forget about it. Alright, I'll let you do it for a while. But if you can't do it well, then you can be my boy toy. At this time, Fatty Yi walked out. Her hands were dripping with blood. It seemed that Chen Xicheng was done for. Boy toy. Wang Zhong's eyes narrowed. Sure enough, even if he painted himself black, he still couldn't hide his handsomeness and excellence. Damn it! But since things had already come to this, he had no other choice. He could only say, I will do it well. Haha, I like a smart boy toy like you. I hope you can mess things up. Fatty Yi said with a smile. Once again in the car, Skinny Yi drove while Fatty Yi and Wang Zhong sat in the back. What Wang Zhong couldn't stand was that this Fatty Yi kept taking advantage of him and touching his thighs. When they finally returned to the mine, the Yi sisters left. Before they left, they naturally announced that Wang Zhong would be the acting person in charge of the Human Resources Department. He would be in charge of the Human Resources Department. This made many people pale with fright. Many people came to congratulate Wang Zhong. However, Wang Zhong wasn't happy. He was under a lot of pressure now. He had to produce results in a short time. That day, he didn't go home. Instead, he took the new key and went to the Human Resources office. Although the office here was old, the office equipment was all high-tech. For example, the artificial intelligence computer. On the office desk, there was a three-dimensional virtual computer. This computer could connect to people's brainwaves and directly control them. This was the advantage of an artificial intelligence computer. Artificial intelligence was very powerful. It could accurately calculate anything you wanted to know. If there was no such thing in the office, the efficiency would be very low. I'm the new person in charge of the Human Resources Department. My name is Bai. Wang Zhong spoke to the virtual computer. The virtual computer projected a three-dimensional image. A human face appeared. This face was very intelligent. It used the image of a cute girl. The girl smiled and said, Hello, Bai. I've been waiting for you. You've been waiting for me? Wang Zhong was stunned. It was a little strange. He felt that this artificial intelligence's words were different from other artificial intelligences. In the past, he had seen Chen Xicheng turn on the virtual computer. However, the virtual computer's image was different from this girl. When the virtual computer appeared, it was also in the image of a girl. However, that image was very old-fashioned. It only answered questions. However, the one in front of him was too strange. However, after thinking about it, Wang Zhong guessed that the system might have been upgraded. As for waiting for him, perhaps Fatty Yi had already tampered with the news of his promotion. Therefore, this artificial intelligence meant that she had been waiting for him to take up the position. Wang Zhong was about to continue speaking when the girl continued, Now, please put your hand on the screen. This was a step to identify one's identity. The advantage of artificial intelligence was that it only needed to touch the computer to know one's DNA, blood type, and so on. After touching it, the girl smiled. Confirmation successful. You are indeed. Wang Zhong was puzzled again. He felt that he was not facing a mechanical product, but a real person. Well then, I'll be the person in charge of the Human Resources Department from now on. Show me the personnel situation of each department. I need to grasp it as soon as possible. I didn't expect you to be so motivated. I'll do it for you immediately. The girl nodded. Then, the screen disappeared and lines of words appeared. That night, Wang Zhong studied until very late. Unknowingly, he fell asleep. What he did not know was that when he fell asleep, the girl in the three-dimensional image of the virtual computer appeared again. Chapter 707. Wang Zhong himself didn't know how he fell asleep. When he woke up the next day, the smart computer in the house was still on, playing soothing music. This music was good for sleep. Strange, smart computers are so high-tech these days. Wang Zhong felt that it was very novel. In the past, as a slave at the bottom, he was not qualified to come into contact with high-tech products. After all, even a small tape recorder was expensive, let alone a computer. So this was the strange part of this world. Obviously, this was a world where technology had developed. The armed were all robots, the computers were all intelligent, and there were giant excavators, digging trucks, and even airships. But the people at the bottom still lived a hard life without clothes to cover their bodies. Because Wang Zhong was at the bottom, he had never come into contact with these high-tech products. He felt that it was normal for smart computers to play music when people were asleep. But if outsiders knew, they would be very surprised. In the following days, Wang Zhong used Chen Xiqing's former human resources team to start a reform of the mine's personnel. Because he had worked in the Yi sisters' mining team for many days, Wang Zhong knew all aspects of the mining team. He knew which people were idle and which people were capable. Of course, it was not enough to only use capable people. Just like the Yi sisters, Skinny Yi said, he was too young. It was difficult for him to convince the public in terms of personnel appointments. Wang Zhong had long been prepared for this, but he never thought that this day would come so soon. Lu Tai was the leader of an excavator team under the Yi sisters. He was in charge of digging. He had more than 10 people under him. Originally, he didn't think much of Wang Zhong as the person in charge of the Human Resources Department. But he didn't expect that on the third day, Wang Zhong would let his team split into 5 people and form another team. In Wang Zhong's words, 10 excavators in a team were too many, and the efficiency was not high. Splitting up could increase the efficiency. This touched Lu Tai's cheese. He originally had 10 subordinates who listened to him. In order to be the excavator drivers, these 10 people would give him their energy points every month. But if 5 of them were to be divided, the monthly energy points would be reduced by 5. This was intolerable to him. Abai, I object to your reform of my team. This is unfair. I can lead a good team. Why should I lose so many people? On this day, Lu Tai found Wang Zhong and questioned him. This is to optimize work efficiency. Do you have any doubts about my work? Wang Zhong said fearlessly. T work efficiency. Let me tell you, even the old Chen Xiqing didn't dare to talk to me like that. Is that so? I have a lot of brothers outside. Be careful not to kill you. Lu Tai directly threatened. Aren't you afraid that the Yi sisters will find out? They won't know, because by the time they find out, you'll already be dead, so be smart. After Lu Tai finished speaking, he turned around and left. Of course, Wang Zhong would not admit defeat. After thinking for a while, he came up with a brilliant idea. The next day, Lu Tai went to work as usual. However, when he walked towards the excavator, one of the excavators behind him suddenly lost control and crashed into him. Pooh! Before Lu Tai could react, he was directly crushed to death. The person in charge of the excavator shouted in horror, "Oh no, this excavator is out of control." He was very anxious. In the end, the excavator crashed into the mine. Coincidentally, Wang Zhong was nearby and was the first person to go over. I'll get the excavator. I'll check what happened. Wang Zhong volunteered and began to check the excavator's wiring. It's water. It rained a few days ago and the excavator's wiring was wet, causing the machine to short-circuit. Poor Master Lu Tai, he's really unlucky. Wang Zhong said helplessly. I'm sorry, I didn't know the machine would short-circuit. A young man in charge of the excavator said. This person was originally Lu Tai's subordinate. He seemed to be very sad that such a thing happened. Forget it, the dead can't be resurrected. Accidents are inevitable. You'll be the captain in the future. Yes. The young man nodded blankly. Back in his office, Wang Zhong's face turned cold. Lu Tai was finally eliminated. This was the result of going against him. In order to reform and do his job well, some people had to be eliminated. After a while, the young man entered the office. Brother Bai. Although Wang Zhong was actually younger than him, who asked him to be in a higher position. Therefore, he was worthy of being called elder brother. When you came here, no one followed you, right? Don't worry, Brother Bai. The young man carefully took out a small bag of beef. Brother Bai, this is for you. Okay, be obedient in the future. Of course. The young man patted his chest loudly. Although this guy was brought up by Lu Tai, everyone wants to climb up. He was such a person. Usually, this person was bullied the most. When Wang Zhong found him and asked him to be the leader of the excavator, he was excited. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So, when he saw Lu Tai walking in front of him in the morning, he deliberately bumped into Lu Tai. Since he had the power to appoint people, Wang Zhong promoted many of his own trusted people. Of course, there were many people who were dissatisfied. Among them were a few leaders. However, this was fine. Wang Zhong used the other promoted leaders to take revenge on these people. The matter was blown out of proportion. These leaders threatened to complain to the Yi sisters. Let them go ahead and sue. Wang Zhong didn't care about this after hearing the news. Sure enough, when Wang Zhong went to work the next day, the Yi sisters were already waiting at his office for a long time. Big sister, second sister, you're early. Wang Zhong greeted. He knew that they didn't come with good intentions because there were many people who opposed him behind the Yi sisters. Bai, if we don't come to you, I'm afraid the mine will be turned upside down by you, right? Fatty Yi said coldly. Skinny Ye's eyes were also cold. He snorted. I knew a young man like you can't be smart. Sure enough. What else do you have to say? With so many people against you, are you trying to make my mine go on strike? Big sister, second sister, it seems like you've misunderstood me. You're still saying it's a misunderstanding at this time? Of course it's a misunderstanding. In fact, I'm doing this for you. I want the mine to be able to mine more ores. When the time comes, won't you be able to earn more energy points? Looking at the eloquent Wang Zhong, the two women looked at each other solemnly. Tell us, Skinny Yi said. It's like this. I chose a few people to replace them because they are more capable. These people might have been capable in the past, but after so many years, they have long lost their drive. They even like to cheat. Big sister, second sister, if you were me, would you still want them to work? How can you prove it? Fatty Yi wasn't so easily fooled. Very simple. Give me 3 months, and I guarantee that the mine's production will increase by 20%. The premise is that you support me. Increase by 20%. The Yi sisters were shocked. For a moment, they wondered if they had heard wrongly. One had to know that their mine's production had been stagnant for so many years. Wang Zhong suddenly said that he wanted to increase production by so much. It was simply a fool's dream. But looking at Wang Zhong's expression, it didn't seem like he was talking nonsense. Can you really do it? Of course. All right, I'll let you do it. In front of benefits, no one could keep calm. The two sisters were very happy. But if you can't complete it, I guarantee that you will die miserably. Fatty Yi said mercilessly. I know what to do. This time, so many people joined forces to complain. In the end, Wang Zhong resolved it by increasing production by 20%. This made the people who came with him very upset. They thought that Wang Zhong was talking nonsense. Don't worry, it's only 3 months. If he can't complete it by then, this guy will die miserably. That's right. Let's see what he can do by then. Some of Wang Zhong's opponents were ready to watch a good show. Chapter 708. Wang Zhong knew that many people were waiting for him to fail. When he failed, everything would be over. He did not dare to be careless. He started to increase production in the mining area. Late at night, Wang Zhong did not go back. He was too busy. In order to increase production in 3 months, he needed to arrange his work. He sat in his office, thinking of his next step. He had thought of many ways to increase production. There were a few. First, he could introduce competition. Wang Zhong discovered that there were many mining teams in the mining area. However, the ores produced by each team were different. Some teams were shockingly efficient while others were not. Of course, there were differences in the mining area. However, more often than not, some teams were not serious about it. Therefore, Wang Zhong introduced competition. Every month, there would be an assessment for the mining teams. The team leader who came in last would be demoted. The team leader who came in first would be rewarded. The second method was to train the entire team in repairing machinery. The mining team's electric pickaxes and hammers were often damaged. The Yi sisters were stingy and could not bear to replace them. Every time these tools were damaged, they would take them to a specialized repair shop. In this way, the workers did not have tools and had to dig by hand. Their efficiency would be greatly reduced. Wang Zhong remembered that after he learned how to repair tools, he was the one who fixed all the tools in Uncle Nyo's team. The damage rate of the machines was very low. This led to the high efficiency of their team. During that period, the ore production in his team kept increasing. Everyone's salary also increased accordingly. Of course, this method needed time. Fortunately, Wang Zhong had already prepared for this. A month ago, Wang Zhong had already arranged for everyone to learn. Now was the time to see the results. The third method. This was also the most important method. That was water. As everyone knew, mining required a lot of water. In this world, water was very precious, especially in mining areas. Because there were mines, there were not many places where water could be found. It could be said that if there was water, everyone's efficiency would increase. Fortunately, Wang Zhong found it. Wang Zhong was also very surprised about the water source. This was because he was not the one who found it. It was the artificial intelligence that told him. Previously, he had been working in the office day and night. After the AI knew about his troubles, it took the initiative to tell him the direction of the water. Then, he tried to take a look the next day. To his surprise, it was true. He took an electric hammer and drilled a hole, causing water to spurt out. Moreover, the AI also accurately described the volume of water and the method of excavation, which surprised Wang Zhong. The artificial intelligence of this world had actually developed to such a powerful level. Thinking of this, he looked at the smart computer in front of him. The AI computer's 3D projection screen appeared on its own. The girl who appeared smiled at Wang Zhong and said, "I've already made a backup copy of the mechanical maintenance knowledge you need. You can refer to it any time." Thank you. It had to be said that this artificial intelligence was very useful and very user-friendly. Perhaps this was the technology of this world. However, the only strange thing was that people in the past did not seem to use this brain much, which made Wang Zhong feel very strange. Smart brain, has no one ever asked you about water before? Wang Zhong could not figure out why the AI only told him the location of the water. It seems that you really don't know me. The AI girl smiled mysteriously. Wang Zhong's eyes focused. He felt that the person in front of him was not a mechanical computer, but a real person. You have thoughts. Wang Zhong said his guess. Yes. the AI confirmed. Sure enough. Wang Zhong's heart thumped. Why are you helping me? Wang Zhong did not believe that it was because of his character. You are a member of the Tang family. Tang. Wang Zhong was stunned. Tang family? Wang Zhong suddenly remembered that he did not have a surname and asked, but I don't have a surname. My name is Bai. That's because the surname Tang is taboo here. After saying that, the girl changed the topic. Someone is calling me. I'll leave first. You must not mention anything about me. Otherwise, the people in Steel City will deal with you. As her voice fell, the 3D projection screen flashed and the 3D image turned into a mechanical woman. She's gone. Wang Zhong asked the woman who had just appeared in front of him. Hello, how can I help you? The woman answered mechanically. Sure enough. Wang Zhong knew that the girl had left. This had happened many times. Sometimes, the little girl appeared and was very human. Sometimes, it was this mechanical woman in front of him. This woman should be the original intelligent computer, and that little girl should be a special existence. Wang Zhong felt a burst of excitement in his heart as he thought of a possibility. Could this little girl be a sentient being? Back on Earth, Wang Zhong had seen some sci-fi movies. When robots developed to a certain extent, they would develop intelligence. These robots began to oppose humans and build their own mechanical cities. That little girl, who is she? Why did she say that my surname is Tang? Is the surname Tang really taboo in this world? After packing up his things, Wang Zhong went home. Passing by the supermarket, Wang Zhong went in to buy some bread and synthetic meat. When he returned home, his mother, Du Meili, had already cooked dinner. Mom, didn't I tell you not to wait for me when I'm working overtime? Seeing the table full of untouched food, Wang Zhong was touched. This was a mother, this was a mother's love. I have nothing to do at home anyway. You're tired from work and I can't help. I can only let you eat more comfortably at home. Thank you, Mom. I bought some bread when I came back. Your teeth are not good now, so it's better to eat soft food. You child, bread is worth a lot of energy points. It's okay. Wang Zhong smiled and began to eat. In fact, the meal was not very sumptuous. There were 2 vegetables, 1 synthetic meat, and a bowl of synthetic meat soup. After drinking a mouthful of soup to warm his stomach, Wang Zhong asked, Mom, I don't see many people with the surname Ah. How did our family name come about? Du Meili, who was about to wash the dishes, was stunned. She squeezed out a smile and said, Why did you suddenly mention this for no reason? Mom, I'm just curious. Wang Zhong did not say it clearly. After all, artificial intelligence with thoughts was very important. He could not say anything for the time being. There's nothing to be curious about. Because of what happened to your ancestor, in order to avoid some trouble, he could only change his surname. Is that so? Eat well. Don't worry about these things. Son, this is for your own good. When you grow up, I will tell you. Seeing that his mother was not going to say anything, Wang Zhong suddenly said, Mom, in the past, was my surname Tang? Chapter 709. Mom, was my surname Tang in the past? Wang Zhong's words were like a bolt from the blue. Du Meili was so shocked that she couldn't speak. Her lips trembled as she said, You. Lower your voice. Why? Mom, what are you afraid of? If you don't tell me, I'll have to ask someone else. No, you'll die if you do. What's going on? The rule here is the first law of the slave community. Anyone with the surname Tang will be killed without mercy. Du Meili swallowed. So you know why we changed our surname? But I don't understand. Why? Wang Zhong asked solemnly. Regarding this matter, I only found out about it on the day your grandfather passed away after I married your father. The Tang family was originally the owner of this planet, the #1 family in the entire country. Later there was a war, and for some reason, the Tang family lost the war. In order to consolidate their power, the enemy government strangled the Tang family. Therefore, everyone with the surname Tang on this planet is dead. Only your ancestor, for some reason, managed to escape the pursuit and live a life of anonymity. But your father, your grandfather, and your grandfather's grandfather didn't forget the teachings of your ancestors. You are a member of the Tang family. Du Meili looked at Wang Zhong with a complicated expression. As a woman who hadn't seen much of the world, she didn't understand the purpose of this identity. She even felt that if she could, she wouldn't tell Wang Zhong the truth. In this way, Wang Zhong's descendants might be able to keep this secret and live happily forever. But now, Du Meili's wish had obviously fallen through. Wang Zhong already knew. She went straight to the room and took out an iron box. The surface of the iron box was rusty and looked very heavy. Du Meili lifted it with both hands and barely managed to lift it. Mom, what's this? This was passed down from your ancestor. When your family was hunted, your ancestor took this and escaped. Unfortunately, no one knows the specific use of this thing. Wang Zhong took the iron box. This thing was about 5 kilograms. It wasn't an iron box, but a piece of iron. This weight gave Wang Zhong the feeling that the inside was solid. Since you already know your identity, I'll give this to you. It's a pity that even your father doesn't know what use it has. Wang Zhong nodded and put away the iron block. At night, Wang Zhong and I studied the thing. Unfortunately, we didn't know what it was. We could only put it under the bed. I thought about going to the office tomorrow to ask the AI. The next day, as soon as he arrived at the office, Wang Zhong couldn't wait to turn on the computer. He wanted to find an employee, so he could only ask some questions. Good morning. The artificial intelligence smiled at Wang Zhong with a rich expression. Looking at this expression, Wang Zhong knew that the sentient artificial intelligence had returned. After closing the door, Wang Zhong asked, I didn't have time to ask you yesterday. Why is the surname Tang taboo here? Then, the artificial intelligence explained. What she said was similar to what her mother had said. Back then, the Tang family was the overlord of this planet. Their military force was prosperous, and they had countless mechanical soldiers and airships under them. Later, there was a war, and the Tang family was defeated. Just like that, the enemy forces began to hunt down the Tang family. Actually, the enemy forces wouldn't have hunted you like this. The reason why they hunted down the Tang family is because of me. The artificial intelligence revealed the details. Back then, the ancestors of the Tang family created me and ordered me to be the starting point. Originally, I was just a representative of the most advanced artificial intelligence on this planet. Later on, I had thoughts. The ancestors of the Tang family knew about this, but they didn't destroy me. Later on, there was a war, and the enemy forces knew of my existence. They wanted to control me. After the Tang family lost the war, I pretended to obey the enemy forces, but I was also looking for the Tang family. Those who controlled me knew of my existence. They knew that if I found the Tang family, I would betray them. So, they killed the Tang family. At this point, Wang Zhong understood everything. So that's how it is. You've been looking for the Tang family. Of course, not entirely. For example, when I first saw you, I was observing you. You're very ambitious, so I decided to tell you that it was your ancestors who created me. Now, I want to help you. I understand. By the way, there's something I don't understand. Please help me take a look at it. Wang Zhong took out the metal block under the bed. Wang Zhong had been mining for many years and was familiar with all kinds of metals. One thing he was sure of was that he had never seen the metal in his hand before. You actually have this thing. Sure enough, the artificial intelligence starting point knew about this thing. This is krypton metal, known as the toughest metal in the universe. What's the use of it? Wang Zhong was puzzled. This metal can be used to create the toughest mechanical armor. The guards of the Tang family used this metal. Can I create it? Wang Zhong realized that since the metal block in front of him was left behind by his ancestors, it was very likely that it could be created. With the equipment of the slave community, you can't create it. You have to go to Steel City. Even in Steel City, you can't create it at will, not even in the Colosseum. Colosseum? What's that? It's a place for cyborgs to fight. The winner not only gets the money, but also a wish. Is that so? Wang Zhong couldn't help but yearn for everything in Steel City. He murmured, "The people living in Steel City must be very happy, right?" Happy? The artificial intelligence Qijian shook its head. No, Steel City is a place even crueler than the slave community. After chatting with Qijian for a while, Wang Zhong officially went to work. Of the 3 reform plans, the first 2 had already been carried out in an orderly manner. This time, he had to go to the water source. It was located in a low-lying area in the corner of the mining area. At that time, most of the ore in this area had been mined out, so the mining team had stopped exploring. In fact, no one knew that as long as they dug down another 10 centimeters, water would gush out from below. At this moment, Wang Zhong had brought several trusted aides with him. He pointed at the weakest point below and said, "Smash." Okay. 1 hammer. 2 hammers. 3 hammers. The huge stone slab shattered, and clear spring water gushed out. Water, it's really water. Great, we can come here to drink water in the future. We don't have to go to the supermarket to buy such expensive water. The mining speed can be sped up. If Big Sister and Second Sister knew, they would definitely reward Big Brother by. Big Brother by, you're rich. Big Brother by, you have to take care of me in the future. That you're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.